Welcome to Alfredo's Size 3 Taco Truck, a Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast, the only podcast to consistently finish second at Adepticon. I'm Vincent Curkov.
I'm Pat Van Value.
I'm Nate Horn.
And I'm Alex Potts.
And we're back from Adepticon! Yay!
Hooray.
I may have spoiled how we did.
I was really curious to see if the intro was going to be about how we did or the fact that fucking finally none of us have faction badges anymore. Bots' fraudulent Cabal badge has fallen off.
I earned that. In what ways did I not earn that?
You earned it like 6 months ago. The 6 months after that, a little more fraud. Like, when was the last time you played a game of Cabal?
So, who's playing Cabal better than me in that time?
I guess no one, but
Yeah, exactly.
you're down in the slums with the rest of us.
I think it's also one of those things where when you're like abusing people with broken Malekith and then Malekith gets nerfed and you stop playing it, but your record stands, and be like, who could beat my record? My record's unimpeachable.
Were other people not allowed to play Malekith at that time?
They were not allowed to play the Malekith you played.
What do you mean?
They could have.
No. I mean, when I was playing it. When I was playing
Oh,
it,
yeah.
everybody could have played Malekith. I didn't
That's
stop
true.
anybody.
But what if those people kept playing Malekith? Now they're like, "Brr." Anyway.
They
I'm close to
probably-
having my faction badge back. It's just me and my Padawan at 1 and 2.
Yeah,
I assume I'm very far from mine.
I don't think I saw you on the list for Brotherhood.
Yeah, probably not. Scrub. Keep losing games. Disaster.
I'm like 50 points behind the guy in first at X-Men. It's kind of fucked up. I'm at 615, and somehow he's at 666.
Hell yeah.
That's a lot.
That's the correct faction rating for the winner of X-Men. All right. So Pat, how was your Adepticon?
Wonderful. I
Hooray!
got to see you guys. I got to hang out with people.
Yay! We're friends.
I got to play a local in round 1. It was great.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. What are we doing here? Am I just rambling about Adepticon? Is there structure?
What'd you play?
I played
You switched
Spider
factions.
Wakanda because I woke up in the group chat a couple weeks ago and you guys were like, you should play Wakanda? And most of the models are painted. And then I did that. I got a few games in before Adepticon to sort of figure out how to deploy things and not to cheat on turn 1, mostly. And it, like, the highs of Wakanda definitely felt better than the highs of Spider Foes. And they were definitely, part of the pitch was that the plan was somewhat similar in terms of, like, I'm going to fight you for extracts and, I don't know, play kind of mediocre models in my affiliated part. And I still definitely had the feeling of, like, in Spider Foes, the problem was Doc Ock just getting one-shot by a Logan. And, Black Panther still gets one-shot by things he shouldn't sometimes. But that's Marvel. I don't know. So you guys convinced me to steal DeLuca's Wakanda list. That played a bunch of Ds, which I now do not understand in the slightest. But
Yeah.
it was the amount of list building I wanted to do at the time. So I don't know. There's a bunch of big dudes in the list. It's got like a Thanos and a Hulk and a ASM and stuff, which was quite an adjustment. I've played Thanos a handful of times with very mixed results and such. I don't know. I went 3-1 in the Challenger event. With a great game against Paul, our local, who got Thanos big time because dice.
Got
Turns
Thanos
out
big
when-
time.
When Thanos just one-shots Black Cat twice in a row, it's pretty good. And then got dunked second round by Aaron Franklin, who I also played at Warfare Weekend, who is unfortunately good at the game, and a great guy to play against every time. I made some big mistakes on turn 1. Like, one of the things I've definitely found challenging about this Spirit of Wakanda nonsense is like how it contorts your deployment on turn 1 especially with like difficult terrain and when you're forced to play ASM and shit like that. And I don't know, I just fucked up and like grabbed the wrong one of my spider infected on turn 1 and then took some risks to try and dig out of that hole and they did not work out. So I lost that, and then played a cool Canadian round 3, playing X-Force, and thankfully we have a good local X-Force player in Nick, so I had some practice and was able to get through on that one. And then the last round I played somebody bots played last year, Rob Real, something like that.
Oh yeah,
The Malekith guy.
yeah.
he played me with Hydra, right?
Yes.
He did. He wasn't
Sleeper
playing
Agent
you with
Malekith.
Hydra.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had Malekith and Hydra last year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember now.
This year he was playing a Cabal Brotherhood thing, which was an interesting combination, and I wasn't really sure which of the two halves I was going to see, and I wasn't thrilled about either. But I got Skrulls and Cosmic Black Order shit. The D.
Cosmic Invasion.
Yeah. And I probably should have lost that game. I don't know. It was a weird game, but it ended in not ended. There was a point there where I was trying to usurp a Hulk and had rolled a Killmonger attack, separated the dice into hits and misses, and then I was like, I'm gonna do my kill count reroll, and decided to reroll a hit. And he was well within his right to be like, get fucked. But instead he was like, no, you should do the reroll for real, because he's a cool person. And then I usurped the Hulk, and that was a rough position for him to be in at that point. So good game against a cool guy. Don't like D's.
Man, Killmonger's the fucking best. Do you enjoy playing Killmonger yet?
I mean, my problem with Killmonger is that it puts me in like high stress mode, because I know it's like such an important activation, which is part of how I fucked up rerolling the wrong die. And it just like, in some ways it feels like the most pointed experience of swingy Marvel dice. Like I had to do, I don't know, 12 or 13 to Hulk with Wakanda Forever and the Power to Spender once in there, I think. And I think we came out to it being like worse than a coin flip, but not terrible in terms of dice.
Yep.
And it should have been worse than that. Like I think he made a mistake in dazing my Killmonger the turn before, when he should have just left him alive, shocked. But
Yep.
I don't love Killmonger. I think there are like the 16 we talked about, where it's like Killmonger, Panther, Thanos, or something like that. Still sounds cool, but I was stretching to play an in-affiliation list at the point level I was playing that game, so wasn't thrilled about it there. But I don't know. Good time playing Wakanda overall. I'll probably stick with it because I don't have anything better to do. So.
All right, I want to ask a controversial question. Everyone on the internet will not stop complaining about Thanos being busted.
Yeah.
And I think they're all fucking wrong. He is fine. I'm curious to know what my co-hosts think about Thanos' power level. Is he a problem? That kind of thing.
I kind of think you can't put an 8 threat model that isn't going to be a problem or garbage. I think the line is so razor thin.
So you agree Thanos is garbage?
So I think Shield's matchup. I think I'm so snowblind by Shield that he's like not a big problem for us since Portal went once per turn.
Yeah.
Like he's pretty He's like more ignorable than he's ever been.
Yep.
For us specifically, I mean, and we were already a faction that didn't stand on the midline. So like. It wasn't a huge problem for us, but I've played some Thanos into people with like I went on a whole kick of playing Spider Foes Thanos.
Oh yeah.
And like he like sometimes he just has games where he's just like it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to reconcile those two aspects of him, where I've like played against him a bunch and been like, nah, he's not a problem. And then I've played him a bunch and been like, I think this is a problem.
Are there models in Marvel that don't have games where it doesn't matter what you do? I feel like, I mean, maybe
That's what I was going to say.
know, maybe like Wong, but other than that, like I mean, yeah, obviously Thanos is going to have more of those than Toad or whatever, but I don't know, that's the function of the game. Sometimes the dice beat you. It's okay.
Yeah. I think there's just like factions that lack tools to deal with him, and I don't know. I think the way he interacts with some of the mechanics he has access to, like
Name a
I
faction that lacks a tool to deal with him.
I don't think web. So again, it's like it's highly contextual and highly scenario dependent. But on a straight up down the middle, I think webs don't have a great way to handle that guy, and they're like maybe the best faction in the game.
Well,
And,
it
like,
sounds
maybe-
like Thanos is solving a big problem for us then.
Yeah, like okay, yeah, but again, like it's like my thoughts on this subject are so like wrapped up in if thens
Yeah.
that it's like it's difficult to discuss in a straight up like up or down manner. But
Who
like
the fuck are you, and what did you do with Vince? Like,
yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. Like, sorry, I ever let me recede back into a character that doesn't have a nuanced opinion about anything.
thank you.
All right. I don't know. I think he's fine, but also I hate this style of model, and I wish like gem selection was more meaningful because there's like two valid builds of Thanos right now, and really there's one. Right? Like,
Yeah, I
think
pretty much agree with that. I think I think the gems are in a really boring spot right now,
Yeah, for sure.
and I haven't played Black Order in like 2 years, and I don't know anybody other than Steve Cole who has a lot recently. So I don't know if gems are more interesting in that faction, but I sort of doubt it. I mean, they're different, I think, than they are in every other faction, but I don't think they're any more interesting, really. So I think that's kind of a design flub, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Thanos is fine. I mean, yeah, he's like really strong, but and they could totally release something that would make him broken. Like that maybe he will be busted in some new affiliation or with some new character or something in the next year or so. But right at this exact moment, I don't know. He's one of the great models in the game, and that's okay.
Yeah, like I don't want to get too far down the path of complaining about complainers, but Jesus Christ, I'm sick of all the complaining. Like this statement that the game is being ruined by kaiju models because we happen to have two broken models in a row with Malekith and CGR being kaiju, right?
Yeah.
And now people just assume that in the vacuum, because of the fundamentals of the game, there must be a kaiju ruining the game. Like it feels like people have this foregone conclusion that with those two busted models gone, clearly whatever other expensive model is good enough to see a lot of competitive play must also be busted. And like what Thanos does right now versus what either of those two models did back then is hugely different. Like not even close to being comparable in my mind. And so I'm just fucking sick of him being referred to in the same way, in the same language as CGR.
I think if I don't really think you need to change either, but if I was like forced to nerf something, I think I would probably nerf Hulk before I nerfed Thanos. Thanos is probably like literally better because he's 2 points more, but like for their point value, I think Hulk is better than Thanos personally. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I would agree with that, but I also don't want to nerf Hulk. He's fine.
No, I don't want to either. I think
Yeah.
he's okay, but like they're both excellent top tier models, and I think Hulk is slightly better than Thanos, and there's
I have
probably
the
other models that I think
controversial
are better.
opinion that old CGR was worse than Hulk as a sixth threat, but
I disagree with that, but that doesn't matter.
it was just way harder to play. I don't know.
Wait,
I think
you mean Hulk is way harder to play.
Yeah.
yeah, Hulk
Yeah.
was just way harder to play than CGR. Like you could be like I could hand you the card, you could read it for the first time, and you could play CGR to like 90% of max skill level. And like I think Hulk players are constantly getting better. I don't know. I just think like I think Thanos is in a fine place. I think he's in an uninteresting spot.
Yeah, for sure.
But I ultimately like the nerf to Cosmic Portal. Like making his kit more about Death's Decree is so interesting. I think Death's Decree is the thing that draws me to him. Him being a big like kaiju model that is about support generally. Like a lot of times that I see Thanos lists lose that are like attrition Thanos lists is because everything but Thanos dies.
Yeah.
And Thanos isn't worth 8 points if he's not making other things better.
No, not even close.
So like I think that I think that he's fine. I totally get where people are coming from that complain about him, though. But also, where are you seeing this? Stop going to Discords that aren't ours. They only make you mad.
That's true.
Anyway.
But then we have content for the podcast.
All right, let me see if I can physically pick up this car and put it back on the rails. Alex, what was your
Wait,
Adepticon Challenger
hold on.
event
Pat
like?
was going to say something. Pat was going to say something about Thanos. He had an opinion about a Marvel model.
So I think there's so we started this Thanos thing by talking about like the idea that sometimes he takes over games, and then sort of descended into like, well, kind of all Marvel models do that. But I think there is a thing about Desticree specifically, and the fact that he sometimes just makes a shit ton of power on his own when he has reality, or like more frequently when he has reality, where it means when Thanos spikes, he's more likely to take over a game. Like, because he can spread that out over the rest of his activations through Death's Decree. Where, like, I don't know, Bullseye can roll all crits all day, and, like, he's still gonna, I don't know, kill 2 models a turn, worst case. But Thanos is
that's true. That's
contributing
but
incrementally
that's
to every activation.
There's a sliding scale on that one that's more based on model design than threat level. Because, like, I played one game against Vincent at Adepticon where my Cyclops just decided to go the fuck off and murder 3 models while pushing them around while moving my whole team around all in one activation. Right? And so it's just like, I agree Thanos is higher on that scale, but I don't think he's, like, alone up there. I think there's other models who also can spike into really dumb things.
I guess I also...
agree. No, I agree. I think it's just that, like, the fact that when Thanos makes power, it lets you add dice to other things that build power to sort of, like, reinforce that cycle. That is a little tilting to me, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Immortal Iron Man can do the same thing.
Yeah, I guess I should say I definitely the comment about all Marvel models being able to do that is sort of flippant. Because I do think that, like, so when Thanos... I don't know, this is maybe a nonsense way to put this, but when Thanos spikes, that means 8 of your threats spike to that turn, as opposed to when Bullseye spikes, it means 2 of your threats spike to that turn, right? And so I think for an 8 threat model to be worth it at all, it has to be able to kind of do that. And like, I mean, you know, compare it to like Malekith, who's 7 threat. Like when he spikes, his teammates don't get as good necessarily, but he does get access to more and more things. Like, he might be able to Midnight Phantasmagoria when you weren't expecting it. His dice get better and better if he has more power. If he's the leader, his teammates do actually benefit from it. Like, if he spikes, then he'll get something for his teammates that he might not be able to, that he wouldn't on like average dice or whatever. But I kind of think that, I think that part of Thanos' design is correct, because if the 2 actions plus superpowers that your 8 threat model gets cannot possibly make your team better, I think it would just kind of be garbage. Like,
I think that's part of the problem with Dormammu, right? The other 8 threat we have in the game is when he spikes, he killed a thing, but it doesn't turn into anything else, right? Like, the extra power on him doesn't accomplish anything. So, like, if he spikes you when kills the other 2 builders, or just the 2 builders do good damage, like, it pretty much ends up being the same thing, right? And I think Dormammu needs more ability to back games than he has right now to be worth his threat. Which, I'm fine with Dormammu being bad, but if we wanted Dormammu to see competitive play, that would be a thing to change. But also, please God, do not buff Dormammu.
Yeah, please, all these factions where you can take whatever that you want, like the model carrying that ability.
We'll get to the
terrible.
Hellfire complaining when it's my turn. Don't worry.
Okay. Cool. All right.
So was I up next?
Yeah. Unless Pat's got anything else.
He shook his head no on an audio.
He shook his
podcast.
head. Yeah, listeners. He shook his head no. I played in the Challengers event. I went 4-1 because I made it to day 2 and then immediately lost. My day 1 was good. I had some good and interesting games, one of which was on the stream. I was playing Brotherhood. The last 2 models in my 10 model list for Brotherhood ended up being Magneto and Blob, which in that event I didn't play Magneto at all, and I played Blob once. And it was one of the games I won, so let's go Blob. But I'm still sort of fiddling with those last 2 slots. Right now I'm playing in a Juicy League where Blob got replaced with Ultron 2, and Age of Ultron replaced either fallback or recal. I can't remember which. Anyway, and that is to continue my exploration into figuring out how I deal with E shapes on low threat, whether that's researcher or gamma or demons. Experiment's going great in the Juicy League. Nate just stomped me in a totally unrelated scenario. So about an hour ago. So those are my findings so far.
Mystique, no longer the best team at Senators. Get fucked, Mystique.
No, I think I disagree with that. I think yours is also really good, but I just think I didn't know what to expect, and I misplayed some stuff, and then I got diced to shit. Which doesn't mean if I didn't get diced to shit, I was guaranteed to win. I don't think that's true, but I do think that guaranteed you won. Anyway,
no, I agree with that for the record. Mystique is still number one at that, but the Professor X thing, I guess we'll talk more about this later.
Yeah, it's really good.
Shockingly close second place, and I think it would clown on the types of lists that like the Mystique list clowns on, where they don't have a plan and can go like even with Mystique. But I agree with you that your list is better at it than mine.
Yeah, or at least basically the same. I mean, I definitely just needed to... Yeah, I don't know. I'd do some stuff different if we played that game again. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's not even Adepticon. That was today.
Nope.
And then so I qualified for day 2, meaning I couldn't go play Bushido because that's the same morning as day 2, and then I immediately scrubbed out, so I had nothing to do on day 2.
Same.
Yeah. Day 3, I played some Guild Ball, and I also played some pickup games with Pat and some other friends. So I really got the Adepticon experience. I played against my locals a bunch. I wanted to mention also when we were talking about your Wakanda list. I have this like weird. Partially, this is definitely because I scrubbed out on day 2, so I didn't make it to the semifinals or the finals. But I keep somehow avoiding like top meta lists, like that pickup game that you and I played, Pat, on Senators at 16. And this was just a pickup game. This is just we were in the hall and we were bored. It wasn't like it had nothing to do with any tournament or even a Scrabble or something. That's the only time that I've played against Wakanda since Spirit of Thanos came out, or Spirit of Wakanda came out. Like so I guess I'm undefeated because I beat you. So I'm 1-0 against Spirit of Wakanda. It's a garbage card. But yeah, it's just funny how these things seem to sort of pass me by, especially because I leading up to Adepticon, I didn't play a bunch for like the last 2.5-3 weeks. So yeah, I don't fucking know. And then in affiliation battle, I played Brotherhood also, but obviously affiliated, so my list ends up being pretty different. I had to drop Hulk and Sam and Rhino, and Rhino's card. And I picked up Scarlet Witch and Gambit and Rogue. I did not play Rogue at all, but I played Scarlet Witch and Gambit in at least 2 of my 4 games each, and maybe 3 for Gambit. And they were good. They were not as good as the splashes that they were replacing, but they're good. Obviously, No More Mutants is an awesome card, and Dark Past is kind of fun too. I played both of those. In that affiliation battle, we were talking about dice spiking taking over a game. My dice spiked, which led my opponent's Black Bolt to take over the game, because on the last activation of turn 1 on Gamma, my Juggernaut walked onto the central Gamma and hit Black Bolt to push him off the point, hopefully, and one-shot him. So he flipped with priority and was able to Whisper first activation of the next turn, Master Punch and then Whisper first activation of the next turn, and Daze, Juggernaut, Scarlet Witch, and Gambit. And then the turn after that, kill Juggernaut and Gambit, and Scarlet Witch lived. And then I ended up winning that game 21-20, mostly due to, as my opponent said, I'm not trying to slander my opponent. My opponent made some mistakes in the end game, counting points and stuff, and so I was able. So the final game was just Ronin and Black Bolt. I think both injured. I can't remember if Ronin was, versus my injured Scarlet Witch and injured Mystique, and I won on turn 7, 21-20. So that was really fun. And then in the sort of finals of affiliation battle, because 3 of us were undefeated, me and Vince and our buddy Nick, who was already mentioned, who's an X-Force player.
Hooray, Chicago.
Yep.
Hooray, Chicago. I lost to Nick because I forgot an important thing about this game, which is that it ends on turn 6, and I didn't realize that I actually had the win in the bag if I let Pyro die just by running away, because he would get charged and probably killed by Wolverine, the Logan, but doing so would leave me on still enough points to win, because that was the last turn of the game. But instead I did something way riskier and fundamentally stupid, and it didn't work. So I lost fair and square. And that was my Adepticon. And despite my pathetic, subpar, no good, very bad showing, I still think my list is incredibly good. And I think I'm playing it pretty well. And hopefully I will be able to do better at squad goals with Brotherhood, because I'm not stopping playing Brotherhood anytime soon. Probably not, at least until some stuff that we saw in the keynote comes out. And I mean, I might even keep playing Brotherhood with them as well, but like Brotherhood and them. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Who's next? Vince? Nate?
Nate, why don't you go for it?
Sure. So I had a very similar arc to Bots. I played in Challengers. I went 4-1. I won the first 4 games to make day 2, and then I scrubbed out in the first round. Do I have anything? I got to play on stream once where I got to play against Lucas, and you get to see. So I mentioned Hellfire complaining coming. I got 2 games against Hellfire in these 5, and so what I want to start with is that I think people are still overrating how good Hellfire is.
Based.
I think they're good, right? Like, I think they're up there in one of the top tier factions. I don't really think they're a problem in most circumstances, right? And like, I think I have a very solid game plan into dealing with them. They're like annoying, right? Like, I hate the design of Emma. I hate the design of the faction. I hate the design of some of the models that they play.
Yeah.
But like, if I separate that to like the actual gameplay, it's fine. They're beatable. It's okay.
Yeah.
And like, you can see my streamed game where you can see the plan I have for Hellfire work pretty well, right? And I was managed to, I mean, it's still a very close game, right? It was not a cakewalk by any means, but I did manage to beat Hellfire there. But then my round 5, first round of the top 8, I played against them again, and this was the Nightmare solution. And so the Nightmare with Hellfire is when they get Extremis. I think that combination is a problem, right? Specifically, like, because the thing with Hellfire, right, is their core game plan is kind of one of those things we've talked about before on this podcast with, like, Kingpin, where if the dice don't exist, they kind of win by default, right? And they have a similar way of doing that where they can juice up their steals without having to interact with you, right? They can get power on Black Cat and Rhino to steal your shit without having to interact with you. Then they can steal their shit, run away, heal, and kind of, quote-unquote, win by default in a similar fashion. And so what I have to do, at least with my X-Men list, because like I can't keep up with them on steals. I need to enact violence to kill some of their models. Normally the one healing a turn is something I can get over, but like when I was playing him and he had prio, I had, last activation of turn 1, I Ultron drones, walk up, shoot Bill, do some damage. Ultron hops off the drones, shoots Bill, and I do either 4 or 5 damage, I think, to Bill. So it's like feeling pretty good. And then the start of the turn, he just like heal off the Extremis, walk, heal off the Extremis, leadership heal. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. And that was the story of the whole game. I never made, like, I did 3 or 4 or 5 damage chunks to Rhino, and then he would go first and heal 3. All right, and I think it's that combination of always being, like, if you don't actually kill them, the healing 1 versus healing 2 or healing 3 is where that faction gets out of hand. And so something about that needs to change, but I honestly would not be sad if they just got rid of Extremis. I don't like playing into that with fucking Eric's portals either, right? I've been mad about Extremis for a little while now, because that list can also do something similar, where the fast models can get to 2 or 3 Extremis and just heal a bunch every turn. And I don't think when they made that, they expected models to be able to reliably get to multiple, you know what I mean? I don't think they understood the, like, kind of speed creep, I guess, that has crept into the game, which generally I like. But I think that Crisis just needs to fucking change. Fuck Extremis. All my homies hate Extremis.
Yeah.
That was cool. I had a game against Asgard that was extremely close, because it turns out Asgard also good at pay-to-flips. That matchup for X-Men vs. Asgard is actually pretty difficult and spooky. And it reminded me how excited I am to play Asgard when the new shit comes out. So, I think
It's also against Arthur, who's on our Discord. I recognize his screen name.
Oh yeah, yeah. Arthur's a really
he's
cool
good.
guy. And like we talked about the game, if he got a little he did the Thor problem where he got a little too greedy on the last turn with Thor trying to kill my stuff, when instead he could have just he charged Ultron, did like 2 damage to get the stagger and threw Ultron away, and then he decided to try to finish Ultron instead of just walking away and flipping a point, because he didn't see or think about the fact that Nightcrawler can very easily rotate across the B, which is the same thing happened in my streamed game against Hellfire, where Nightcrawler's ability to just like walk, place 3 walk, to go from any one madman to any other madman wins me games. He didn't think about that or see that coming. And if he had just played a little bit less violently with Thor and a little bit more scenario focused, he definitely would have won that game. Then right, so Saturday
You played Blood Bowl.
I did play Blood Bowl.
He got Blood Bowled so hard.
I got Blood Bowled harder than anyone has ever been Blood Bowled. I'm very confident. in
That
saying
can't possibly be true. You got Blood Bowled pretty hard, but
Dude,
there's always a level lower in hell.
Okay, listeners, comment below. Send an email to our newsletter. Let me know if you've had it worse than this. But
Yeah, post on the listserv.
Hit us up on IRC.
Yeah.
In 3 games, I had, in 2 of those games, a War Dancer failed a 2-up dodge with a reroll to kill themselves. So that's not 1, 8 plus, 10 plus. 2 of my 3 games, one of my War Dancers did that. In both of those games, it was in the first 5 turns of the game. In the 3rd game, I had a War Dancer with a 2-die block, roll double skulls. All she needs to do is, and not 1, double skulls, reroll, double skulls, 8 plus, 10 plus, kill herself. My opponents killed 1 War Dancer across all of these games. I killed 3 War Dancers across these games. I got Blood Bowl so hard. But it was still fun. I mean, it's a reminder of why, for as much as it's easy to complain about Marvel dice, there's worse dice out there that can happen to you. Because, like,
Yeah.
the way dazing works and the way attacks works and things like that, right? You don't just have a dice roll result in functionally a third of your list leaving the table in one go. There's usually a little bit more going on there. So I don't know. I'm not done with Blood. It wasn't making me mad enough that I'm like quitting Blood Bowl. I would play it again, but it was an interesting contrast to we've been playing Marvel for a couple years now, right? And talking about Marvel dice, and then I'm playing. I don't know. How long have you got me playing Blood Bowl, Vince? Like a couple months?
I think we're coming up on 6 months here, but I think it's like 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Generally have a good time there, but it's just, I think you mentioned Blood Bowl is like a much sharper game, right? And it's a much meaner
it just doesn't
game.
have any of its corners sanded off. It's
No.
like, when you hit the side of that table, your forehead bleeds.
Yeah,
There's no padding.
It is a very mean game, and it's kind of interesting to compare that to Marvel, but I don't know, it was fun. And then Sunday, I was going to play an affiliation battle, and then I was tired and out of energy, and so I dropped and just hung out, and it was fun.
But he maintains that he'd win it if he played in it. Just like all 3 years he's had the opportunity to. He would have won it had he played.
Well, specifically, I maintain that I would have beaten you. I don't know if I would have won, but I would have dream crushed you, and that's the goal. That's what's important here. We did play 1 game on the weekend, I did,
and it was
absolutely
affiliation battle.
dominate you. And it was affiliation, yes. We both decided to practice our affiliated lists, and boy howdy did you get run over.
I did.
Nice. Vince, how was your Adepticon other than getting run over by Nate?
It was all right. This theme of getting run over by Nate is going to continue through my Challenger run. So, Alex, what was your record at Challenger?
4-1.
Nate, what was your Challenger record at Challenger?
4-1.
4-1. And what? And you guys finished
At
5th
7th,
and
8th, I
7th.
guess. Or,
Well, I went
yeah.
4-2, and I finished 2nd.
Yeah. This motherfucker.
Top cuts.
Oh, boy. Gotta
What a
love
cool
Top
mechanic. Won the same number of games as you two, had a worse record, finished way above.
Yeah, we finished 5th through 8th. I don't know why I said 7th through 8th, because there would be. But yeah, we finished 5th through 8th, and you finished a cold hard second. Very cool, and not cringe.
So, I played a bunch of games. First round, I was on stream. You guys can go watch this game. Played against one of the Game Store Guardians guys, where it was like end of turn 4, score was 1-1. We played an extremely unga bunga match.
Gentleman's marvel right there. Yeah.
What were the
Standing at
crises?
20
How is that
paces.
even possible?
With this Demons Downtown researcher, where we drew the researcher every turn, and we're playing only for the researcher because it's on.
And
Demons.
you also weren't scoring your back demons or something?
It's like one of those things where when the game is a pure fight, and the researcher's worth 2 and the back point's worth 1, if you don't put that back guy on the researcher, what are you doing?
Like, don't your back guys have like range 4 attacks and whatever?
Like, they do, but again, like, it was just kind of how things worked out. And also, anybody you put on the back point is likely to die. So, like, the thing here is also that he played portals, and he has a portal standing next to my back point.
Ah, right. I
So,
see.
like, Hulks pop through there and kill whatever I put on the back point.
I see.
And so there were turns where there was nothing on the back point, and then those things didn't die to Hulk. And there were turns where there were things on the back point, and they died to Hulk.
Yeah, right.
It was a game where I put a lot of my game on killing Hulk, and my dice were somewhat, like, underrated, and then I had huge spikes to finish him off. I think Dynamo, like, teleported and, like, did 5 to Hulk in a single activation, which was, like, a huge deal to, like,
Yeah, that's nice.
win me the game. So
Now there's
got
a
through
broken
there.
model.
Yeah. Dynamo is also very... I mean, if that's the biggest problem with when I play Affiliation Battle, is the loss of Dynamo is the thing I feel the most.
Yeah,
that makes
he's
sense.
busted.
AMG
best
made
model in
Dynamo
Shield.
Shield.
He is the best model in Shield.
They should make Dynamo Shield affiliated. It'd be so good.
No, please.
Maybe your werewolf will do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same card.
Hell yeah. It has an energy beam that shocks and
Yeah.
has
Got a
disruption
Winter Guard
field.
leadership and everything.
Well, they specify that he's a werewolf by night. He's not just any werewolf.
Oh,
I know what
okay.
werewolves do. They, like, claw people. But a werewolf by night might be something totally different.
Yeah.
Good point.
I don't think we mentioned this, but round 2, the Taco Boys had, like, one of the roughest draws of opponents. Freaking Nate had Lucas, Pat had Aaron Franklin, I had Conan Jennings, and then Alex, I don't remember who you had in round 2.
Me neither.
Okay, well,
And I can't look because I was told that I'm not allowed to type during the podcast.
Yeah,
That was your
those
game
3.
against Defenders. This guy Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, Nick Jolliffe,
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a good game. But, I mean, no offense to Nick. He played well. But not a known TTS quantity like the rest of you guys were playing against. Yeah.
Yeah. So played Conan. My dice went insane early. He's also playing exactly what Alex is playing, so I've played it. I've played against it a bunch.
Yeah.
We drew Mutant Extremists, so the exact scenario you're worried about it for. And Shield is just really good in a Brotherhood, I think.
Does this motherfucker just call it mutant extremists? The thing is called
Yeah.
Senators.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the other words in the thing without thinking about it.
Okay, well, that's what's called on Longshanks. Sorry. His first 2 words are Mutant Extremists.
I sort of support Vince in this. I say Senators, but I regret it every time.
But there's two scenarios that start with mutant.
Yeah, that's why you say extremists.
But also,
But there's also something called extremists.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was
that
gonna
part's
point
not great.
Yeah,
You just have to be
it's
really precise about
extremis.
it. Mutant extremists.
out. We're just calling it
Extremists.
Senators.
An
Yeah, I'm
Call
going
it
to keep calling it Senators.
Okay. So, on Mutant Extremists,
Yes.
so a lot of it just has to do with the fact that, like, what makes Brotherhood so good at Senators is, you're welcome, is that like they can grab stuff. They can grab like your senators and back up, and are applying deception threat, where like they can just kidnap any model you put up there if you try to grab one of yours.
That's correct.
Shield has sit rep and doesn't have to play by those rules. Like deception is a blanked card if you play Shield well, and that goes an incredibly long way.
Bots did not like that sentence.
I disagree with that, but I mean, it's certainly a worse card. You don't get to play it turn 1 to much effect all the time, but it's still live the whole
Listen,
game.
any card that you don't play on turn 1 is obviously a bad card.
Yeah,
That's
Everyone
true.
knows
That's you're right. You're right. I should be thinking like that.
That's how my Wakanda list plays. Sometimes you play 3 cards on turn 1. It's great.
I've done that in X-Men. Yeah.
I have been do you know who I aming people turn 1 occasionally these days. Been doing
Did you
some
not
goofs with it.
play that card in our game that we just played an hour ago?
Yeah, I didn't play it. I mean, I never really thought there was one really good moment where I thought I could play it if Juggernaut had one more power. But it's just when you daze those 3 models all at once, I couldn't save power on Juggernaut to have it ready after that.
Sorry,
I just
was it in your 5?
Oh, yes, it was in my 5.
That's what I meant to ask. Sorry. Yes, I agree. There was no opportunity in that game to play it. I just couldn't remember if it was in the 5 or not. Anyways.
Yeah, it was in the 5. Yeah. Sorry, Vince.
Yeah. Okay. So had a good game against Conan. I like playing him. He's the exact same height as Zach Cohen, which is my favorite part about him.
Same name, same height. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, their heights are closer than their names. Like Conan. Yeah.
Do I need to play some music to get you to move it along?
Yeah. Sorry. So I lost 2 games, and they were both almost identical in that I lost on Deadly Meteors to Web Warriors, essentially to Amazing Spider-Man by himself.
Say it.
So this was a thing that Nate convinced me to do to my list, was to put Meteors in over other things.
I suggested it.
Way to go, Nate.
Yeah. So I'm mostly just razzing Nate here.
No,
Nate suggested it, and then I thought he was crazy, and then I played it a bunch, and I was like, this actually is pretty good. Like, it's a straight line, and like it's like a really centralized scenario. It's like a lot of stuff that Shield loves. And I only played it against Web Warriors once, and I controlled the extract so well in that practice game that I didn't realize the actual problem with the list, which is that they don't ever have to commit to the secure. ASM essentially every game like got to try all the meteors contested, and then like either tanked all my shots or like got to escape. In this game, I like focused on the stuff that wasn't ASM, because in my experience, like ASM is kind of like a quagmire to try to like actually make meaningful trades with. So in that game, Black Cat didn't steal anything, Miles didn't steal anything, Jessica Drew didn't steal anything, and I KO'd all 3 of those models without them killing anything or stealing anything. And then ASM single-handedly just like won the game. Just like almost every model that dazed or took damage on my team was dealt by ASM. He didn't really take damage. He flipped all the meteors. And then like at the end, it was like his Beta Ray Bill like just hit a 17%er to deny Iron Man a double flip attempt to win the game, and then I missed the single flip to stay in the game. But all the opponents I played won all their other games, so I got to stay in, which was great. And then in my finals game, which is on stream, but I'd recommend you don't watch. It's not a game. I play Marked for Death on ASM. I shoot him with my whole list. He takes 4 damage. And then from there, I make some mistakes, for sure. Like, I don't play super well after that. The other thing I think worth noting here that was really fun was I played Noah the Heck with Asgard, and we had one of the wildest openings to a game I've played in a long time. I always am surprised when somebody else has a range 5 attack, especially Asgard. I always forget that Thor's hammer throw is range 5. So I put Hawkeye in a position where he can shoot the whole point if he's range 5, but can't be shot by anything that walk range 4s. And Thor walks up and one taps Hawkeye with a hammer.
Nice.
And because Hawkeye had walked up and flipped the point, didn't have the power to like quick draw him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of rough. And then he has priority, so he goes first with Hela, and Hela walks up and shoots Hawkeye, and Hawkeye quick draws him and one taps Hela.
Wow.
And so he's like, Odin's, I guess. So Odin's out, first activation of turn 2, his first activation of turn 2.
Yeah.
So it was just like a wild, like, early game. And, you know, I'm shield. I just shot people off the table. And I also had the other game of note in this whole thing. I had a really good game against Corey Age. Corey was like my bane in Guild Ball. I would just like go to an event, play until I hit Corey. Corey was a better player than me and playing the hard counter to my faction, and he would just dumpster me. I was playing farmers back then. He would just I would try as I might, but then he would just like dumpster me. So it's fun to play him. He's also made top 8 twice playing a goblin-led version of foes at Adepticon.
Hell yeah.
I think people are sleeping on Goblin at the moment. I'm hoping this new set of foes gives Goblin some good stuff to do. Excited about that. And then Aaron, I got to play Aaron Franklin on stream. I thought this was a really good game where I like played like maximum mobility shield and I just like ran at him. And I shot him a whole bunch and I got lucky early with some dice. But yeah, I finished second.
Hell yeah.
Huzzah. Second year in a row, Taco Truck takes second at Challenger at Adepticon.
I just think that if Nate was going to sabotage your list, he should have had the common decency to win the event.
Yeah.
But
It would have been really great if we run into each other in the finals and he flips meteors into me and then just has to.
Yeah, just gets hosed. I'm back on Infinity Formula, in case anybody's curious.
yeah,
So let me
makes sense.
ask you some questions about your broken faction because I'm curious about this.
Okay. I mean, yeah, okay, all right, go for it. I
And
think my
I'm-
faction's only broken on E-shapes, but...
That's fine. We'll put the vampires aside and talk about your other broken faction. We'll get to those later.
Oh, okay.
So your list used to crutch on Bucky really hard, right? Like
Yes.
you've agreed that Bucky was the best thing your list was doing.
Oh, yeah, it was... And I didn't always play it because he wasn't always good. But when he was good, he was busted.
In Challengers, how many times did you play Bucky?
How many times did I draw Meteor? How many times did I draw Hammers? 0 times. So I played him 0 times.
Okay. So clearly, even without him and with no, like you really didn't get, I guess Hela's kind of a buff, but it's not like you really got any buffs faction-wise in the same patch that nerfed Bucky, right?
I mean, unless you count the core set as the same patch, but yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, if you want to lump all that
The core
together,
set
that's
is
fine.
the thing that rescued us from the Bucky nerf.
Okay. So, do you think your list is better or worse now than it was then?
So like, I think it is less powerful, but I think it is better situated in the meta.
Why?
Like I think it's because of the X-Men thing.
Sure.
Like not having an auto loss is a big deal. I also think our game into Avengers is a little bit better than it was.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think S.H.I.E.L.D. are one of the top 3 factions in the game?
I think they're close if they're not. I think they're like 4 or 5.
Okay.
But
Name your top
Classic
3
Vince
factions.
downplay. Yeah.
Or die.
I mean, like I think like saying they're one of the top factions, forcing me to put them in top 3. I'm not certain about.
What are your top 3?
I think it's Webb's number 1, Wakanda number 2. I think it's either Avengers or Hellfire 3.
Does that put you at 5?
Yeah, I think it puts me at 5.
What are you?
I think it's like I think it's actually probably Hellfire. If you force me to do it, I think it's Hellfire 3, and then Shield and Avengers could go 4 or 5 either way. I think you get into like like crisis flip stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think there's
downplay.
maybe Guardians should be in there as well, but
No. Okay.
I think the CGR nerfs hurt them a lot.
So I'm not exactly sure what my top 3 are bots. I heard you ask that.
Yeah.
Webs are definitely number 1. You're never going to change my mind on that one. I think there's a very strong argument for Shield to be one of the next 2. Because I do like a lot of... I haven't gotten that many games into Vince, right? So this is part of the problem and why I was thinking about this, is I was listening to the Muse episode before Adepticon, where they're like trying to predict which factions were going to do well and show up in challengers and stuff like that. And I just like... No one is ever going to bet on Shield to do well at an event because you're just betting on Vince. Like, that's all that actually...
There's like 4 people playing Shield in the entire Earth. Like,
Yeah.
And so it just got me thinking about what do I feel about their power level myself. And it's just like, I haven't gotten that many games into Vince, which means I haven't gotten that many games into Shield played correctly, which means I don't know. But like, if you look at this man's track record over the past couple cons he's been to, it's nothing but great performance. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
clearly there's something there. And I'm just trying to figure out, is that a faction thing? Is that a Vince thing? Is it a Dark Horse thing? Is it some combination of all of that? I'm not sure.
It probably is. I think you're underplaying the Dark Horse thing a little bit. Like, I think there's, like, so the big difference here from when I play Web Warriors, or when I played Web Warriors before, when I played Web Warriors, I never got free wins.
It was also like
I
8
never,
years ago, but yeah.
It's 3 Adepticons ago, right?
Yeah, 8 years.
Oh yeah, okay, sure. But like I never got any free wins with Web Warriors, and like Shield, sometimes you just roll up and you get a free win, and like somebody tells you they know how Eye in the Sky works, but they don't, because like I think there's like 4 people on the whole planet that understand all the Eye in the Sky interactions.
Is this where you plug the video that you're working on right now?
It's not. I don't know what it's going to be done, especially because Pat has a bunch of the bottles I need to film with, which I did not realize. They could have easily been swapped for other minis and been shot today. But yeah, I'm working on a video that is tentatively titled "Every Eye in the Sky Interaction." It's just a casual 12-minute video about one tactics card. What could go wrong?
Pretty hype.
Don't worry, in 16 years I'll have talked about every relevant meta tactics card.
Exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit, the faction's strong, nobody has practice into it. I'm pretty good at Marvel.
Do we think more people should be playing Shield?
No, it's a hideous faction. It's just a bunch of random guys.
It is hideous.
So ugly.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like, so in a pure strength sense, yeah, probably, but like also probably not.
Why
because
not?
Most people don't play it particularly well.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, or want to play that way.
I think the median Avengers player is way scarier than the median Shield player. Or that's probably not a great example, but like,
No, I get it. Yeah.
I guess I should have said the median Avengers player is closer to the skill cap of Avengers than the median Shield player is. And I don't think the median Shield player is particularly scary.
Do we think... Okay. So that makes sense to me, and I would agree with that. Yeah. So then do we...
Well, yeah.
Hold on.
I've only ever played one other Shield player. So.
Sure. Yeah. They're rare. Do we think the effort is worth it? Like, if you were a player wanting to find a good thing to play, like they want to do well at events, they want to be competitive in the current meta, should we be recommending people put in that amount of time to hit the skill cap on Shield, or are they better served going and playing an easy baby faction like Brotherhood?
Or Wakanda. A different easy baby faction. That's apparently the second best.
It kind of depends on who you are. Like, I think that Shield will reward your time better than any faction in this game ever will. But also, like, are you gonna dump 40 hours into playing Shield? Like, or do you want to show up and just play whatever the meta strong thing is and have a winning record? Like I don't know. Like, it depends on what you're looking for. But I think if you put time into it, I think you will get more out of playing Shield than you will other things. But also, like, I don't know. So interacting with the wider Shield community and the people that want to play Shield is like, there's clearly like a hump to get over because they'll say things about Shield like the fan server thinks that CGR was a disaster for Shield. Right? Like that the thing just beat Shield constantly. And that was not my experience at all.
I don't understand what's hard to play about Shield. I mean, I do get that obviously you need time to learn matchups and stuff. Totally for that. I mean, I think that's true for most things in the game, and probably for Shield more than other things because they're kind of weird. Like, there's not another faction like Shield, right? So people might not understand how to beat CGR with Shield right away, or back when he was really good or whatever. But like, all you do is run away. You just run away and shoot guys. You just stay at your max range and you shoot guys, and you count points and you lose some points and you don't lose so many points that you lose. Like I don't.
I think that sentiment is exactly why people like fall down the wrong rabbit hole. So there's just so many more decisions in Shield, especially if you're playing like Iron Man leadership, than there are in other games. And then it also, unlike most other factions, it requires you to fundamentally understand the current tempo of the game and how you have to position as a result of that. Because Shield typically loses when it chases, which means you're taking gunshots right now hoping to kill an extract holder. And you need to understand that if that fails or that succeeds, what that like is going to fundamentally do to the tempo of the game. Like, if you look at my game against Aaron Franklin, which you can like look up on stream on the Professional Casual Network, I understand that I have to push across the board so hard, so early, so fast. Yeah, and I think that's just not naturally intuitive to have to do that.
That was the game where, like, what was it? You told me, like, turn one, none of your models stood on your home D, and they all just went past it?
It's not 100% true, but that's essentially yes. That's like pretty close to what happened. It's also a game that at the end of the game, Nick Fury Jr., a character with no action compression, that is like heavily incentivized to never take a move action, was standing on his back D.
Sick.
I remember like walking back from lunch or whatever and looking at that game and going like, whoa, Fury is on like one of his F points. How did we get here? Vince is doing all right, but how did we get here?
Yeah.
It's Nick Fury leadership is way better than people think it is. I question sometimes if I should be playing that more.
Okay, damn it. That was going to be my question. Because I remember we talked about that after you had like a couple games where you had to play kind of wide shield, right? And like a lot of the practice and discussions we had leading up to this event was figuring out that you play Iron Man too much. Immortal Iron Man, new Iron Man, not Immortal, Invincible.
Invincible.
Right, that you've been playing him too much and playing him when you shouldn't and getting into bad situations because of that. So where did you land on when to play which leader?
So I essentially have kind of figured out that the E shape is not the be all end all for Shield. That Shield, or the E shape is not the be all end all for Shield. That it is everything for Invincible Iron Man. And that if you're on wide and you can play tempo correctly, playing like a wide game with lots of low threat models like Shield used to play still works with Nick. And a lot of that is that even though we lost Bucky, Agent Venom's mobility really helps us out a lot there. You have to just kind of play like solid fundamentals and take a lot of bites at the apple, because you don't have attack quality. You still have quantity though, and then it also helps that like my list is like just super teched for everything that's like we're bad at, which is like I've bought a lot of mobility in my list. I've brought a lot. I don't know, and I think that I don't know, it's about funding. It's about understanding tempo with when you play Nick Fury and not Iron Man. I don't know. Iron Man sometimes kind of feels heavy as well as like a character. Like, he's a character that can't fundamentally do enough work for his threat. Right? And if he manages to, by some miracle, right, you're going to crush that game. Like, he needs to do a bunch of his output on other people's turns by playing Stark Armory and buying them rerolls and providing the Black Panther leadership, which is very strong but difficult to use well. I don't know.
That's fine.
I'm
That's enough shit.
going back and thinking about putting Iron Man 3 or 3-threat Iron Man back in the list for a little while.
You
I
definitely
don't know.
should. I think that's. I've always questioned that. Whenever you did that, which I can't remember, might have not been very long ago, but I questioned it at the time.
Yeah, I pulled it out a little bit before LVO. Like, I played it a bunch.
I've been questioning it since.
At Warfare Weekend, and I don't know, I had a bad game with it, and I was, like, pretty done.
All right. Do you have anything you want to say about Blood Bowl?
No, I mean, I had a good time playing Blood Bowl.
your
I
broken
clearly
faction?
got matched. Huh?
With your broken faction?
Yeah. Everybody's really mad at Vamps, especially whoever's running the Blood Bowl thing at Adepticon. Moved them from tier 2 to tier 1.
Where they should be.
Which was a thing that NAF, the like governing body, did upon release. They we're a little bit worried about this and put them in tier 1, and then for like probationarily, and then took them out of it. And Adepticon was like, no, they belong here. And like gameplay wise, it doesn't matter at all for my list, really. Like, it barely matters. I still think it's ridiculous though. I think they're just like not. I think there's maybe an argument that they're better than a lot of the tier 2 teams.
They are.
They are the worst tier 1 team if they're
That's
tier
fine.
1.
That still puts
They
them
should
in
do
tier 1.
that. They should do that in Marvel with tiers. If Sentinels just got a 6th tactics card, like not a fictional one, but like we're able to take 6 tactics cards in a game, how good do you think Sentinels would be?
I don't know. How good do you think tactics cards are?
Not
I
don't know.
I think it's
Yeah.
interesting, but I don't know if I would be super convinced to do that. I think you'd also see people play a lot of like Rogue Agent and a lot of like fewest Sentinels possible kind of thing.
Well, yeah. That's clearly what the faction is meant to do. Anyway,
So what they should do is when you're playing in the Sentinels affiliation, the Mark IVs only cost 3 threat.
ooh, that would be exciting.
It gets people playing the Sentinels. It gets around the Rogue Agent thing you were just talking about.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of dude.
I think I fundamentally. You're talking about. Okay. Did you like tier lists in War Machine? Were you a big fan of that?
Kinda.
Okay, well,
Sorry, I'm the wrong
As
person
fundamentally
to
the
ask.
What was
thing
the
that-
problem with tier lists in War Machine? Oh, I forgot. Sorry. I forgot tier lists meant like theme lists.
He meant
in War
theme
Machine.
list. Yeah.
No, weren't they called tier lists at one point?
Yeah,
too?
they
Maybe
were.
Oh,
They were-
yeah, in Mark II they were. Yeah.
they were always called theme lists or something like that, and then they had tiers.
Yeah.
Where you got like different buffs,
Right,
the farther,
right.
the more of
the
whatever
more
you
committed to them
included.
you got. Yeah, I remember that now.
So-
Dude, I
so
played the
community called them
fuck
tier
out of the
lists.
Broken Troll one where you just took all the elemental lights. And I had to spend like a couple
Oh,
$100.
yeah.
That list was the most fun I had playing that game. So
That was a really cool list. Yeah.
tier lists, great. Theme lists, great. Bring them into Marvel.
But it was also like reducing points in theme lists was how War Machine got itself in a whole bunch of trouble a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
And Nate, being the incredible game designer that he is, with his terrible ideas about Marvel, is like now like let's reduce points on models if you if you like take both of these two models.
Yeah. It's fine. They're just Sentinels.
There's no faction that wouldn't pay 6 threat for two Mark IVs or whatever. That seems so good. There's so many hit points for 6 threat.
Yeah. That's all it is hit points.
Oh, the guns.
Okay,
are
anyway, sorry. You were talking about vampires or whatever and how they're broken or
yeah,
not broken or
essentially-
they can take free rules or they don't have any rules or I don't know.
I don't know. I was just annoyed that they like adjusted it. I thought it was kind of ridiculous for them to do that. It would be like Nate going, Sentinels aren't very good. They cost 3 threat if you take 2 of them.
Except
And I just think
that's
that's like a wild thing to do at a con.
that's like a
but-
normal thing in Blood Bowl, from what I can tell.
It is, yes.
So,
you
like-
can't compare Blood Bowl tournament rules to any other miniatures
I can
game.
do-
Because
I
part
can
of
do
the sales
whatever
pitch
I
with
want.
Blood Bowl is that
Watch
no
me.
2 tournaments use the same rules. Like you expect
I mean-
tournaments to have their own cooked up nonsense.
Sounds like squad goals
don't
should
know.
be a Blood Bowl tournament.
Surprise! You
Hell
guys should come to squad goals, though. By the way,
Actually, yes. It's not Blood Bowl.
squadgoalsmcp.com. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Blood Bowl was all right. I went 2-1. I played pretty well. I scored 2 touchdowns every single game. It wasn't enough one of the games. Here we are.
Hooray!
I won all my games at Affiliation Battle, but didn't manage to three-peat because I hit the pair down the last round. I lost the 2 out of 3 chance to be in the finals.
Don't you still have to go play that game?
No, Nick earned it. He can just.
Nick
have it.
wanted to play you. You are ducking Nick.
I said if I beat Nick and Vince won, I would play Vince for the medal because I knew Vince would want it. But Vince did not agree to do that to Nick, I guess, or Nick didn't agree or something.
No, Nick agreed to do it. Nick wants to do it. Vince is ducking him.
Scared.
Yes.
I think it's a little different. I don't know. Sure. If you twist my arm, I will go lose to Nick.
You can have. I also, if you play that, you can also have my best Brotherhood medal because I don't.
You're trying to just. You were going to give that to literally anyone that would accept it.
Yeah, I was. I felt insulted by the medal.
It's so
You're the
big.
best Brotherhood player. There was a medal for every single faction.
There was a moment
that's why
there
I'm
where
insulted.
I was sad I didn't play my 4 Wakanda models every round. Be like, am I playing 5 points down? Yeah, but, I'm going to get a medal at the end.
Were there no Wakandans in it?
There were none Wakandans. There were like
Oh, damn.
5 or 6 affiliations that didn't have anybody.
There were 3 Dark Dimension and none Wakanda.
Oh yeah, there was 9 factions that weren't represented. Damn, there's a lot of medals left for next year.
Damn, I could have walked out of there with 10 medals. Stuck to Tisdale.
So I played in 2 Marvel events. I took second in both. Woohoo!
Oh, if you had 10 medals, you could tie them all to your bag and then carry them around the con hall like Vince did to show off all of your Adepticon models.
My
medals.
jingle
I think
jingles.
I think I have 10 Adepticon gold medals anyway.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, not to
It's a
flex
little-
or anything, but
it's
that
a little
felt like
weird
the perfect
to do it
opportunity.
with like medals from other games, but
I mean, but those are medals that actually commemorate winning something. So anyway,
Are we
now we have
playing?
Yes.
the most important segment of the week every week. It's Back of the Box.
every week.
But Alex, I'm a brand new visitor. How does Back of the Box work?
Well, friendly traveler, Back of the Box. Welcome to my inn. Back of the Box is a game show that Pat exclusively plays because he's in hell. In Back of the Box, Vince reads the text on the back of a Marvel Crisis Protocol product box, but he blacks out and says blank over like most of the like sort of verbs and nouns that actually have and adjectives that actually have information in them. Pat's going to get a number of points depending on how successfully he guesses it. He will get 3 points if he guesses it after the first paragraph, and he has to guess both models in the box if it's a 2-model box. Then if he doesn't get it then Vince will read the second paragraph. If Pat gets it after that, he will get 2 points. And then if he proceeds past that without anything, then I will ask him a totally unrelated question that will be a trivia question about Valorant, competitive Valorant. And if Pat gets the Valorant question right, he's going to get 1 point. We got 3 boxes, right, Vince?
Yep.
Yeah. And Pat needs... There's such a huge difference between 6 and 7. I can never fucking decide. It's like
You say that verbatim every episode.
yeah, well, because it's fucked up. It's all the system is fucked. All right, it's just
You could
it's,
change it. You're the one who gives
Well,
the
but
rules
then,
every
I would
week.
have to come up with another level. Like there would have to be like if we started at 4, then there would have to be something after 2 points.
Just come up with even more Valorant trivia that he can answer at the end.
Okay, I'll come up with more questions. But for now, Pat needs 6 points to win because we're doing the 3-point system this week. Next week, because this is a weekly podcast, we record every week. We might do something.
We
different.
only release the good ones, but we record
Exactly.
every week.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We record a lot, but only good ones
Vince,
come
why
out.
don't you take it away? I've got my scorecard ready. I've got the trivia ready. We're good to go.
All right.
Lied about one of those things.
Blank is one of the first blank to ever call himself a blank. Always the class clown, his blank superpowers do nothing to take the edge off his chipper demeanor. And though Blank sometimes struggles to accept himself, his teammates, friends, and classmates are always eager to slide into the fray by his side.
I hate how much Nate is smiling. Anytime you say like first blank or earliest blank, I'm just like Avengers. That's the only answer. It's not a mummy.
It's not a mummy. Yes, we don't have the back of the box for the mummy yet. God, I wish we did, though. It would be here if we did.
Not Shocker, or whatever the fuck that box somebody posted in Discord was.
With like 15 spelling errors.
I didn't read it. I was honest to the bit. I really wanted to, but I
appreciate
have
that.
no clue who this is.
So
yeah, give me the second paragraph so I can get it.
Okay,
right.
got it. Blank is the rising star of blank for blank. Her blank powers make her a blank, but her keen mind, determination, and faultless heart make her a hero. She is beloved by all her teammates, especially the alien blank blank. With a personal blank bodyguard and the grit of a warrior, the blank known as Blank will be going places other heroes only dream of.
I don't like this at all.
That makes me so happy, Pat.
I feel like this is a deep cut, which is to say a very old model. And I'm going to look like an absolute clown when it's not. I don't know who has personal bodyguards, and I don't know if this is meant to fuck me over.
It's pretty helpful.
Is this X-23 and Honey Badger?
Final answer, Pat?
Yeah, final answer.
Okay. No, it is not.
Fuck.
He did use male pronouns on the first paragraph.
I was not paying attention.
Okay.
All right.
All
I have
right,
no more ideas.
On to the Valorant trivia.
Yeah.
Sure.
You actually have
Valorant
3
trivia.
Valorant questions?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Well, we don't have to use them, but I'm keeping them around. In the Champions 2023 Grand Finals, EG beat Paper Rex 3-1.
Oh boy.
A single player of the 10 in the server played only one agent for all 4 maps. Who was the player and what was the agent?
I don't know. This is hard. I'm gonna
That
say
seems so much harder than the question I asked.
It's
You
well.
get a clue.
So this is like, I don't know. I can guess 1 of 10 people. Some of them are removed, and most of them only play a handful of things. So the odds.
Remember,
of
it's one person who only played exactly one agent.
Yeah.
It's not somebody who played an agent for each map. It's like, yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna say Ethan playing Sky.
Nope, that's wrong. It was Jing who only played Raze.
I should.
Ethan was going to be my
It's
guess,
you.
too.
It's you.
I also watched
Well,
Valorant.
also it's today. Jing's
well, no,
back.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I
Bribed his
figured
way
that.
back into the scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that right,
Alrighty.
Vince?
All right, so Pat's doing great so far. He's got 1 point. He needs 5 more to win.
How do
Oh
I
no,
get
he's got
one
0.
point?
Sorry, you didn't succeed that. I was
Okay.
I have one.
Listeners at home, the correct answer. Do Alex, Nate, do either of you guys know the answer to this box?
I mean, I
I
definitely.
actually wasn't listening. Sorry, because I had to write the 3rd Valorant trivia down. I had 2.
Classic.
Not 1.
All right.
Not 3.
It's,
is.
It's Iceman and Kitty.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck off. I don't know anything about
Damn.
Iceman. I don't. like this
I
game.
also think having an alien bodyguard is like such a fucking throw for this box.
It's like helpful, but not. Yeah.
Oh, is that like on the picture of her card?
It's on her model.
The little
Is there,
dragon.
like,
She has the
She
little
has a
dragon.
Wingman. Yeah.
Especially the agent dragonling, or
Yeah.
especially the alien dragonling Lockheed.
Right.
Yeah, she's a part
With
of
a
the
personal
sculpt. She's
pet
right there.
bodyguard.
Is that named after the fucking defense contractor?
I don't think
Let's just
so.
say
no
yes and
idea.
move on.
Yeah,
It might be the other way
is.
around.
When
Kitty
did-
Pride is also named after the defense contractor.
When did
All right,
Lockheed
here we
Martin
go.
get founded? Oh no, yeah, the dragon's much older than Lockheed,
Damn.
the company.
Oh,
Maybe
Okay.
Lockheed is
That-
named after the dragon.
That would
be.
have been cool lore.
Pat's going to get it from here. Blank is the ruler of the blank, an intersection of dimensions and realities that defies the laws of nature. He is one of the blank, an enigmatic race of beings made of pure blank. Blank possesses patience that can be measured in eons. He has intelligence beyond reckoning and command of blank to match. Blank is an arrogant tyrant, seeing himself as nothing less than a god. He is the most imposing foe of blank, and represents a threat to entire realms as he absorbs other universes into his own, expanding his worship among any who seek to invoke his vast powers. I'm sorry, Pat, you said something?
was
I
bots.
did not.
No, I said it was. I have my guess in. It's Blob, but don't tell me whether that's
like that
correct
guess.
until Pat
It's a
guesses.
sick callback to when you used to give like Pat options to pick from. If you remember those days, and Blob
Yes,
and
I do
Pyro
remember those days.
always had to be
What are you
there.
talking about? The rules of this game haven't changed ever.
Oh, you're
They've
right.
always been exactly the same.
I dreamed that one. Yeah.
That was not helpful.
It was quite long.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a downside for me sometimes. Like,
yeah,
it
I
really
believe
is
that.
just like
Just, like,
I'm trying to
zones out
get a
halfway through.
vibe. Yeah,
Yeah.
And there's too many words, and I don't know what any of them have to do with a character that I don't know about. I am gonna just put this out there for the readers, listeners, whatever we got these days.
Visitors.
Yeah. I had some Shadow King energy, but I don't know quite how important he is. I don't know that he's quite as cosmic as that sounded, but let's do the second paragraph, so I can definitely lose.
Wait,
All
so
right,
you're not
so-
even gonna guess? I guess if you guess,
Look,
is it over? I don't remember.
I don't know.
All right.
Just 2
Second
seconds.
paragraph is what Pat wants.
Yeah.
Okay.
This expansion pack provides everything you need to add Blink or
Is this the
to their
Thanos
games
pack?
of
I'm
Marvel
gonna
Crisis.
murder you.
Sorry, what's up?
Is this the Thanos pack?
This expansion provides players everything they need to add Blink to their games of Marvel Crisis Protocol. This expansion pack includes rules for the all-new Ultimate Encounter. In Ultimate Encounter Blank, 2 players team up in one last desperate gamble to defeat Blank and halt his dimensional incursion before it can draw their universe under the
Oh.
control of his Blank.
It's Dormammu.
Final answer, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dormammu.
Cool.
I was gonna die if you had guessed Thanos because
Do
you-
Thanos.
and you guessed Dormammu.
They're just the
I mean-
same person to Pat.
They're basically the same guy.
Yeah, one of them has Infinity Gems, and I don't know.
They're both the same threat.
They're both kind of
Leaders.
like wannabe god.
They're both
both-
equally busted.
Yeah.
They're both equally, they got the same threat. All right. Cool.
right,
Alexander
that is 2
Bartholomew
points.
Box. How many points?
He's got 2,
Oh,
making it impossible to win. But let's see how close he gets.
Sometimes
good.
there's a surprise bonus point. So
That's true.
Yeah, sure.
All right, here we go. Blank the Blank is a blank whose dormant abilities surfaced when he reached puberty. The blank employed his blank powers as a carnival performance, thinking of himself as nothing more than an extra strong freak, as he put it. Blank's main superhuman power was the ability to become virtually immovable at a whim while in touch with the earth. He achieved this by using his willpower to bind himself to the soil under him, effectively creating a monodirectional increase in gravity beneath him. He was duped into serving others on numerous occasions, most famously as a member of the Blank.
I am not particularly confident in this, but this model's tilting me, and it sounds sort of like the thing you just said. I'm gonna say this is Colossus.
Final answer, Pat?
Yeah.
This is not Colossus.
Okay.
Second paragraph, here we come.
That was a pretty good guess, though, I think. But
Vince, I hope you appreciate how much I had to like cover my mouth.
Yeah,
for this.
I do.
Okay.
Just don't
Right.
draw attention to it. Saint Blank is blank. A blank with the ability to control, but not generate, blank and blank. Blank can shape blank, increasing or diminishing its blank, intensity and size. He wears a highly insulated suit with a built-in blank that can fire a stream of blank a limited distance. which he can manipulate psionically. Blank discovered Blank and recruited him to join her iteration of the Blank.
I hate this game.
Come on.
But we love
How
it, Pat.
could I possibly know this?
Keep my mouth
I think the first paragraph had two options, and unfortunately you chose the wrong one. But now choose the other one.
I feel this is gonna make me feel very dumb because I don't know who can't be pushed and loves the ground.
Me.
I think if I was looking at a list of characters, this game would be considerably easier.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Instead, I just go into a fugue state where like I'm struggling for any of the names of models.
Bots, do you know what this is? Don't say it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's something.
I was pretty sure, and then I actually know the the Christian name of the second guy,
Yeah.
so I knew who that was.
So-
but, yeah.
Okay, I'm getting there. When you said Saint, I was like, that's a dude's name I've seen on a card, and I don't remember whose name it is or
Rats.
why.
It's a pretty big clue.
Oh,
we
it's
left in
okay. No, well, it's Pyro and the Blob.
Final answer, Pat?
Sorry, it's the Blob and Pyro to be specific. But yeah,
Yeah.
No, the first paragraph was describing Pyro.
there. He loves
I
the
did
ground.
not know that he used his willpower to hold himself to the ground real strong.
Yeah, his fatness, I think, is just incidental.
that's what's like weird.
His actual superpower is that he cannot be moved or whatever, and then he's also fuck huge.
All right. So
Cool.
that gives Pat how many points, Alexander Bartholomew Box?
2 points on that round for a total of 4, failing to win again.
All right. Pat, I have a surprise bonus question worth 2 points exactly.
Excellent.
Holy shit.
Oh
Wow,
my
that's convenient.
gosh. Pat.
Mm-hmm.
We recently went to Adepticon and we won some stuff.
We won some stuff. Is an interesting phrasing.
Yes.
But yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. As a result, the number of sealed boxes I have in my apartment of Marvel Crisis Protocol has increased. If you can guess the number of boxes of sealed Marvel Crisis Protocol in my
What?
apartment, I
Let him do
will give
Valorant
you 2
trivia.
points.
My God.
How many sealed boxes do you have, Bots?
Sealed boxes?
Yes.
Actually, probably very few. Well, I have Shadow King and Xavier. My Immortal Hulk is open because I used the base to proxy Juggernaut before I had a Juggernaut. I'm not that. I might only have one sealed Marvel box. I have a lot of
Stuff on
half-assembled
sprues.
boxes.
Okay.
Like I assembled one character in the box and the other one's just sitting somewhere. But yeah,
How much sealed product do you have, Pat?
Considerable amount. I have a Web Warriors affiliation box from one Alex Bots.
He has a core set that's had its seal cracked just to cut
none of
Dr.
those are
October out of it.
sealed. I have assembled at least one model from every core box I own. I have a Mystique and Beast that is almost certainly sealed. I have a Gambit and Rogue that's definitely sealed.
Exciting.
There's probably more, but those are the
Probably
ones I
one
can
at
see
last
from here.
Adepticon.
all right. So, how many does Vince have? Pat?
How many Hydra tanks did people give Vince? At least one. I think the answer is closer to 2. So I'm going to say you have 5 unopened Marvel Crisis Protocol boxes.
Holy shit, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you're only correct because the Hydra tank's still in my car.
Let's go. Wait,
Yo,
so it's
Pat wins.
you actually have 6, just only 5 of
I
them are in
own
your
6
apartment.
unopened boxes of Marvel Crisis Protocol, but I have 5 in my apartment.
What do you own that's sealed?
Okay, I have...
That's a victory bell. I don't know if anybody heard that.
We all did, yes.
I have Beta Ray Bill and Ulick.
Oh, right.
I have Xavier and Shadow King, which were both Adepticon winnings.
Mm-hmm.
I have Claw and M'Baku.
Sick.
that are unopened. I have Red Skull 2 unopened.
Why?
Huh? I was gonna play Hydra like
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember.
a
that.
while ago, and then I realized I could just borrow Alex's models.
What's the fifth
And
one?
then
I have like one Hydra model, but okay. I mean, it
And
is
then the-
that one. Though it's the one you bought, but yeah.
the last model is the Dormammu I bought last Adepticon.
You bought a Dormammu?
You bought.
I bought it off. I bought it off somebody because it was in the prize. It was in the swag bag.
Yeah.
I have a $20 Dormammu.
Why? That's as much as I paid for my Rhino.
Yeah, Dormammu's twice as big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
but
seems.
one actually gets played.
Yeah, but one comes with 2 pieces of terrain.
Oh, and you've used the terrain a lot, clearly.
I was also at the time. It was like when my local store was panicking that I was playing Spider Foes and they were too broken, and I was like, "Oh no, this is my like go easy on you faction." I guess I'll buy a Dormammu.
All right.
And then I never did anything with that.
Well,
I continued to terrorize my locals with Spider Foes and Shield.
you're all savages.
It's me, your locals.
I have
was
0
terrorized by
unopened
Spider-Foes.
boxes. I have 0 models on sprue. Everything I own is assembled.
Why?
It's okay.
Why do you
So,
hate your free time?
It takes like 3 seconds to assemble a Marvel model.
Yeah, the
day-
assembling is not really that bad.
Oh, you say that, man. The day I was like,
do.
I'm going to get up early and assemble Ultron 2 to go to this tournament, I had a bad fucking time.
That's fair. I did have Carl do that one for me.
Yeah, not everybody has a Carl that'll just be like, build your stuff for you.
He built 1 model for me.
It's the worst model.
Sure.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean,
But
yeah.
I also converted it heavily, so like I don't count my experience. I also have a question for next time, which I can preview with you, which is how many opened models of Marvel Crisis Protocol have I assembled only 1 mini out of, and have
Well, that would be a high
stored the
number for me.
box.
Okay.
But that's for next time. You just think about that. You see if you can get any
Yeah,
intel.
think of that for
Maybe
for the
call
next couple
Zaray and
months.
get her to text it to you
okay, I'll work on that.
so that you can win the podcast next time.
Yeah.
All right.
Because surely I'm not going to
That's back in the box.
Trivia, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
now
back
we're
in the box.
talking About spoilers.
Yeah.
Yes, spoilers,
We're all excited
which
for
I have
monsters.
fully digested.
Yeah, they're finally making this game good. It only took like 4 years or whatever the fuck. All right, I'm starting the topic, I guess.
I mean, this was the
well,
panel for you, so you're the
This
best
was the
person.
panel for me. Yeah. Before the panel started, we already knew about Dracula, right? Or
Yes.
there was like rumors. No,
No.
they said that Dracula was coming,
Yep.
but we hadn't, and we figured Dracula would be in this thing, right?
Yeah, we thought we'd
And
get
then-
like the sculpt reveal for him because they only showed artwork last time.
Right. And we were talking about it, and I said I was excited about Dracula, and I was saying that it would make me happy if Dracula came with a bunch of like old-fashioned villains and stuff. And they didn't do exactly the ones I listed, but they actually did pretty fucking close. He's got the mummy, he's got the werewolf, he's got Frankenstein. He's gonna have the Swamp Thing later, but due to copyright problems, it's not Alan Moore's The Swamp Thing or DC's The Swamp Thing or Night Comics' The Swamp Thing. It's also not Paragon Press's The Swamp Thing. It's also not the Swamp Thing from the novel, but I can't remember the name of it. It's also not the Swamp Thing from the first 2 movies, but it might be the Swamp Thing from the 4th movie, because that one I think is owned by Disney now. But anyway, his name is Man Thing. And these models look fucking great because they don't look like fucking superheroes, and they're not played by Robert Downey Jr. So this is like a huge coup for people with taste, and I hope they're fun to play. They showed a bunch of other shit too. Don't care. Sandman might be busted. Don't care. Apocalypse looks cool because some of the X-Men stuff is actually kind of cool, and I don't know, they said some fucking thing about he would make people his horsemen or whatever, which is kind of fun. Why is he both Egyptian and Abrahamic?
He's just been he's the first mutant that ever lived
Yeah.
and has achieved
Right.
immortality. So he's just
Yes.
picked up styles over the thousands
Who
of
gave
years.
him the Bible when he was in his tomb or whatever?
I mean, he's been out. He comes out into the world, like he goes out for walks sometimes. He hasn't just been like in a tomb since Egypt.
Oh, okay. I thought he was. Well, whatever. I'm gonna look that up later, and then be like, "You're wrong."
I mean,
Nate.
when he touched the computer and went learning, that's when he learned about the Bible. And then he was like, "This, I really
It's
identify
really cool.
with this four horsemen of the apocalypse thing."
That's fair. I think when I read the part about the apocalypse, I was also like, "This is really cool," and I was like 5, and so it makes sense that a comic would also find it very cool. Anyway, and then Warlock is also cool because he's like a living circuit board, and he's got a crazy face. And I only saw the sculpt I saw was like 2 pixels by 3 pixels, but it was a hell of a good 6 pixels. It looks great.
I love that with Warlock. When I showed this to Vince, his first reaction was like, "That looks awful." Knowing
Looks
nothing
so
about
bad,
Warlock.
dude. It looks so.
It looks so sick.
Well,
Are
so
you
then I
kidding?
showed him a picture of what Warlock looks like because Vince was unfamiliar with the character, and he's like,
I was.
"Oh,
He's a fake fan,
okay,
unlike
yeah,
me."
that just looks like Warlock. I get it now."
Yeah.
I agree that it looks like Warlock. Man, AMG, can I be a studio painter for you?
Yeah.
Why? Because you want to paint Warlock?
I just like.
I
yeah.
kind of want to paint Warlock too, but so I get it. But
Yeah, I just want to paint him early. That's why I want to be a studio painter. No other reason.
do you think I'm surprised he wasn't packaged with Cypher though. This is I'm a lore guy now, because Cypher is the like kid who, I'm a huge dork. So when I was a kid, I wanted Cypher's superpower because Cypher's superpower is he speaks all languages, like even like space alien ones. Like if he hears a language once, he learns it instantly or whatever. And then he and Warlock like fuse and they become. Do they start calling themselves Psylocke? That would be confusing with the lady named Psylocke, so probably not. I don't know. Maybe they just keep calling themselves Cypher, keep calling themselves Warlock or whatever.
I don't
But
remember. Yeah.
they fuse together and then they're ultra powerful because they're a living circuit board who speak Spanish. Yeah. Anyway, I don't really understand why they're doing all this goofy shit, but I'm really happy about it because I'm tired of getting 40 Peter Parkers and 10 Irons Men and like. Whoever the fuck else. And I would much rather get people from books.
I think the reason they didn't package him as Cypher is how the fuck do you make Cypher work in this game?
He has to be attacked.
He has no rules on his card except for Shapeshifter and Deception. And he's 2 threat. Because he's tricky, because he speaks a lot of languages.
Sure. Perfect. Ship it.
This is sort of weirdly cynical, but do you think that they have any incentive to like work with the I don't know, weird ass characters no one's ever heard of because the like Disney meetings are easier?
I don't think it's about the Disney
funny.
meetings so much as that they want to just space out. Like they want to always have some characters people are excited for.
Okay. And
does-
some
it
only
does-
Alex Bots is excited for.
Well, I was going to say, it does seem a little weird that like 6 months of their releases are this Dracula shit practically. I mean, like, again, this is something I fully endorse because I'm trapped here playing this game.
Yeah.
And I would like it to have things that I find cool or funny. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that said, I mean, so we've cultivated on our Discord a culture of post-ironic detachment. But that said, everybody on our Discord was also pretty excited about them. So
I mean, if
that's
you
like,
look at
that's probably 100 people.
if you look at the timeline of releases too, that like the early parts of the Dracula stuff basically overlaps with like Apocalypse, the new Asgard box, and like Angel and Weapon X, which are all very popular characters, right? Like people
That's
love
true.
Apocalypse, people love Angel, and then even
Okay.
the back end of it overlaps with Nova and Yondu, and the
Oh, right.
people love Nova. I don't care about Nova, but people out there love that guy, Mr. Richard Rider himself. So like, I think even with the schedule we have, they're mixing in popular with the weirdos. It's just that everyone you talk to is more excited about the weirdos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. What were you going to say, Pat?
That I had never heard of any of the popular people before that keynote.
I had not heard of Nova. Yondu's in the movie. I hadn't heard of Elsa, the Elsa Bloodstone, the lady who comes with Man Thing, but people seem pretty excited about her. And I have heard of Apocalypse, obviously, and Angel and Archangel. because the X-Men the X-Men stuff are like the only ones that I've actually really read from Marvel. Like when I was a kid, I had like an encyclopedia of X-Men and I read some comics and stuff and some graphic novels.
He's one of the original X-Men. Do you know all 5 original X-Men, Pat?
Oh, that would have been a good question. He definitely does not.
I definitely don't.
Wait, I'm not. Can I do this? So it's Cyclops, Angel, Beast, Iceman, and Jean Grey. Is that right?
Yep.
Nice, huge.
Huh. Yeah. Nope.
That was back when Beast was just a guy
Yeah.
with opposable toes,
No,
and not
he was just a
blue
smart
guy.
dude. That was his superpower.
Well, no, he still could like jump around like a gorilla, but he wasn't blue yet. He just had like freakishly big hands and feet.
Okay.
I like the idea that they called him Beast because he was like a beast at trivia night or something. That would rock.
I'd be bored.
Incredible.
Of that,
So the other important lore, so we realized some of this at Adepticon, right? Which is that like what? The mummy, the werewolf, and man thing all worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. at one point. Like Nick Fury rounded up a team
yeah,
of
I'm
monsters.
so excited about this.
Yeah,
It's such
yeah,
a
yeah.
pipe dream.
Oh, and the
but-
werewolf too. So like now
Yeah, yeah.
Vince has a lot of hope that he will get to play his dumb monsters with Nick Fury against bots playing his dumb monsters with Dracula, and there's like maybe an Iron
good.
Man running around on the table.
Yeah.
The additional
And the-
fact that we learned though is the name of that team that Nick Fury put together was the
yeah, it's
Howling
the
Commandos.
Oh, right, it's a Howling Command. Yeah,
Just so fucking good.
yeah, that is really funny. And they sort of, I know I asked this already a couple times, but they can't, I can't remember. They implied, but did not explicitly state outright that Dracula would have his own affiliation, right?
At
'Cause-
least his
or
own
maybe-
leadership, yeah.
At least maybe a leadership for Midnight Suns, because at first it sounded like they were talking about them as all as additions to Midnight Suns, but then
Yeah.
they seemed to say that Dracula would maybe be leading. Okay, well, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope it's good. I hope it's not. My only worry is that because they're like slow, stupid black and white movie monsters, is that their faction is just going to be like slow, tanky guys who hit people, which I would find very boring.
You don't want to play Brewers in Marvel?
I don't want to play Brewers in Marvel. I don't want to play Brewers. There's no universe and no in the whole multiverse. There's no game that I want to play Brewers in.
That's a lie. You're lying to our entire audience.
What? When do I
For
want
the
to play
like 2 months or whatever that you played Guilty Gear Strive, you played Potemkin, the brewers of that game.
Brewers? You've activated my trap card. Brewers are not a grappler.
Okay.
Farmers are grapplers because farmers just set up one specific combo and kill you with it instantly. Potemkin is not like Potemkin can tank stuff. Like grapplers do tend to have higher HP in fighting games, right? But that's not like their offensive strategy. That's the thing that makes a grappler is not being tanky. I'm sure there are. I don't know enough fighting games, but I'm sure there are fighting games where people still qualify as grapplers and are actually kind of like fast.
Yeah, definitely.
And slight and stuff. But the thing that unifies them as a grappler is that they have like one advantage scenario, but their advantage scenario is fucking stupid. It's like it's like you get in that advantage scenario and then you win.
Yeah.
And then if you don't get in that advantage scenario, you're disadvantaged in everything else. And that's
It's also kind of tacked on to the rest of the game typically.
yeah, and also it feels cheap to everyone who's not playing it. So
Brewers,
that's
I
fine.
agree. That sounds just like
No,
playing.
it's not Brewers.
That's just what Tapper did.
Well, good. Why do you even argue with Nate anymore?
Well, that's okay. History will absolve me.
I do really hope they're broken so that you can play them because
Yeah, I mean, I
I'm
would
very
probably.
excited.
I would at least play. I mean, as long as they're interesting, I'll play them because I like the fluff so much.
Yeah.
And also, I was gonna say when I was asking you guys, you guys were very impolite. You didn't ask me what my top 3 was or what Pat's top 3 was. But like,
Oh yeah.
very rude, right, Pat? And I don't actually know if I have a top 3 locked in for sure. I agree with you guys that webs are number 1, but the only reason I wanted to bring this up is because I was going to say that I think Brotherhood are top 3, and I think that no one else thinks that. Like, not just in this podcast, I think no one else thinks that. And maybe that's not true, or maybe I just have to agree with the populace that that's not true. But Brotherhood are like interesting and fun enough to me that even if they're not top 3, as long as they're like playably, high tier, I guess.
Yeah.
As long as they're
Yeah,
high
they're-
tier, I'm going to
they're-
keep playing
they are.
them because I love their playstyle so much. So my hope is that something about the Dracula team,
He's interesting.
even if some of those models are bad, which on balance, probably one of the 5 models is going to be garbage or whatever. But
At least.
but yeah, at least, yeah. But I'm just hoping that they have something interesting going on and are not just like slow guys that are, spooky and go woo.
I think it's hard to have Brotherhood in top 3 until somebody shows me what they do at 15 threat gamma stuff, right? Like those low threat central brawls. I had there's game plans that feel all right there, but
Yeah.
I don't think they can be top 3 while having that flaw in their roster that I haven't seen anybody solve yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the best reason to say why they're not top 3. But I sort of think that a lot of the other top tier factions in the game have something similar to them. Like, I think Web Warriors a lot of Web Warriors' power is determined by the priority role, which I don't think has always, that's true of a lot of factions in the game, past and present, but I don't think has always been true of the top tier, like
Sure.
the very best
Yeah.
faction in every given meta or whatever. Like, when Malekith was like totally busted, I don't really think it mattered too. I mean, you'd like to win priority, but I don't think it mattered
No,
too much really.
Definitely
Like,
did
so,
not. Yeah.
Certainly not to the level that it does for webs. So I don't know, but anyway, yeah. What do you guys? What else? What else was spoiled?
I mean, you neglected to mention what you've been calling the Dracula models, which is, I think, my favorite part.
Oh,
Which
the
is that
Scooby Doo villains. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, I assume that's the affiliation name. I don't know. And they even provided like a spooky castle. They're putting out Luigi's Mansion 2, so you can put all of your Scooby Doo scenarios on the pitch. I'm still gonna call the map of any game a pitch forever because of Guild Ball.
Can't wait
Well,
to
you'll
play
fit
on
right
the
in
40K
Blood Bowl.
pitch. Yeah.
What else do we think about the spoilers? I mean, they actually showed cards too, which who gives a shit. But
That's what I thought we were going to talk about, but apparently we're going to talk about how cool models are.
Listen.
I did not see that coming out of Alex Bots.
It was important
Boy.
to me that everybody knows about the Howling Commandos. That's just excellent trivia that everyone should know about. And I think it's funny. I don't know. It's cool that Bot's got things he's super excited for, right? I know people complain. They're like, oh, we don't have Doom yet. We don't have Fantastic Four yet, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. I want Jubilee. We all have stuff we want. But I do like that they're not afraid to really dig deep for weirdos, right? I felt the same way when they put Winter Guard in the game, a thing I did not think they would do as early as they did. And I think that's a great addition because, I don't know. I think it's more fun when releases are super exciting to a small audience rather than just broadly kind of exciting to everyone. It's more fun seeing individual people be like, that's the thing for me. That's the thing I'm personally super hype about. And I think they don't get enough credit for going out of their way to try to appeal to both audiences and have the weirdos in this game.
Also, if this release hits late September, early October, everyone's going to buy this thing. The models look great. I'm a little bit suspect as to whether I'm going to buy the castle, but the castle looks really cool.
It's so great that the castle is a separate purchase, so I never
Yeah,
have to spend money on that thing.
I thought you were a true
$100
fan.
box.
Hold on.
In the next 6 months, if I learn how to paint a color onto a object, then I will buy the thing and do a little display base for my stupid Scooby-Doo villains. But don't bet money on that happening. So
I mean,
they
at
said
this
it's
rate,
the largest terrain.
no,
Go ahead.
we'll be winning Dracula's castles at Adepticon for years to come. So.
Oh, that's a good point.
also true. Yeah. I'm more likely to pull that out of the box than if I won a Hydra tank. So
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yep.
One of my fourth Hydra tank.
and you can model them all in Dracula's castle. Just climbing up the stairs.
They said it's their largest terrain piece ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And God, I hope that's not true. This is bigger than the Quinjet.
Maybe they just meant height wise.
Well, it's taller for sure than the Quinjet, assuming the Quinjet is
But it's
placed
even close
properly
to
and
the
not
same-
in lift-off position, which is usually how I put it down. I'm putting terrain down.
All right. Well, did you guys want to talk about the rules on any of these models?
Yeah, I think Dracula looks busted.
All right. Spoil his rules for us, real quick, Bots.
Well,
Read his card to me.
Okay, so it's Blade's card, but every number goes up by 2.
Jesus Christ. That is a fucked up leadership.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm really excited about it.
I mean, it's expensive.
Cost raised
Yeah.
three
Yeah, it
bucks.
costs 3 power, but you move 3. Yeah.
Paying
There's only
3 to
6
shake conditions is a good balancing factor, though, to make sure he's not like totally busted.
Yeah, it's mostly an emergency thing. But I mean, he hits pretty damn hard for a 6 threat, I gotta say. Anyway.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's talk about Sandman, because I know we're actually excited about the Man of Sand.
Yeah, that is true. He seems good.
I am a little bit... So I'm kind of two minds here, because one, I think the character looks like the squishiest man on Earth, especially if we assume same hit points and same stat line on the back.
Mm-hmm.
But also, Grunts is a broken mechanic, and having twice as many Grunts seems absurd. Like, this is a character with 6 actions.
What? Okay, question. I have to challenge the very first statement you made. Do you think Logan is the squishiest man alive?
Uh,
Comma the Wolverine?
Yeah.
I guess not.
So then what the fuck are we doing here?
He's also not dealing damage to himself.
Sure.
I mean,
I don't know, like...
But, like-
if he plays no matter the cost.
That's true.
That's true.
I mean, I
Which is
agree.
like
Logan
in the
doesn't
ballpark of
really
Grunts.
pay no matter the cost. I mean, Wolverine plays it, but not Logan, the Wolverine.
Okay, fine.
Like, he is squishier than Logan because he will, on average, spend 1 health, right? Like, he spends the 2 and then heal once, right? So, like, I agree he will be slightly squishier than Logan, but I'm like, it feels weird to talk about being the squishiest man alive when, like, he has healing factor. He has reasonable defense as healing factor, and exceptional healing is a fucking great card.
Yeah, okay, I guess so. He just does... I am worried about the same
Oh, yeah, you can
constructs
play
thing.
exceptional healing.
He sure
Wow,
can.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
that's
I had
good.
kind
That's
of
really
forgot that it was literally... I remembered that he healed. I forgot that it was literally printed healing factor.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
And, like, I also think he doesn't have to, this is assuming power, right? But, like, on later turns, he can just make the constructs to teleport himself around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he's health neutral because he heals when he teleports to a construct for one, and then healing factors the other one off. So if he's just
Yeah.
hopping around doing a beam that pushes people, which is a fucking insane beam to exist,
I only got like a blurry picture of that. Do we know that beam is 5? Like,
Yes.
I know it's beam 3. Is it 5 dice?
it appears to be.
That's what it looks like to me, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone will be 100% sure until we get some better pictures, but on
Okay.
Jarvis Protocol that Vince just linked,
Oh, yeah,
where
you
he
just
types it up,
sent this to me.
that's kind of become the group consensus on what these screenshots say,
I see. Okay.
but I
Yeah.
wouldn't treat these as gospel until we have better pictures, of course. But this is, when you see
Yeah.
conversation about Sandman, this has kind of become the accepted.
Yeah, that beam is crazy. I
It's
mean, that's
insane.
like his
Yeah, that
his
size
ability
list
to
is
do.
wild.
I mean, he's probably gonna miss some of his sizeless pushes, but the fact that he can theoretically do that many is totally crazy. It's like,
And if he misses, he just tries again. Because, like, with the
Yeah.
like making a construct to teleport to it means you get perfect beams very often, and he can just
and also the constructs can go first, try it themselves, and then he can teleport to them on his part of the activation.
Yep.
Which is wild. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, like, keep in mind that, like, the push is really only bad against, like, reduced damage to 0 models, because against Def 3, 1 damage is, like, 75.
Mm-hmm.
Against Def 4, it's, like, 65.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It might be slightly high on those
nope.
numbers.
You're right on both. Good job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, hitting 2 or 3 man beams seems very strong on that, but also, like, it doesn't make power.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's pretty bad at making power in general. Well, except I guess he gets power from the constructs. That's really how he makes power. It's not really from his builder at
Yeah, he has the Nick Fury thing where they
Yeah.
it's one power when they do or take damage. The constructs are also like weirdly tanky.
Sort of, although the damage reduction is only to physical, which is a big deal. But
Yeah, but also like the immunity to collisions, or is it just
True.
reduced damage?
No, it's immune to collisions.
Immune to
yeah. I mean,
collisions,
that's
how
the
my
big thing
grunts
is
die
that like
always.
you have to actually probably use actions to kill them.
Yeah.
Unless you have beams, which is
Sandman,
rough,
really good
but-
at dealing with Sandman.
true. Destroy Sandman in the mirror.
Yeah, I guess Dynamo's also pretty good into this nerd. But,
Very.
Yeah, extremely good. Yeah,
Also, oh no, never mind. They fixed it.
because he also
Man.
really hates being shocked.
He sure does.
But yeah,
the sand, having two of these sand contrasts just seems like the silliest thing in the world to me.
I think if your opponent lets you have 2 sand constructs past turn 1, they have fucked up.
But even like, I guess it kind of depends on what their access to energy and mystic attacks is.
Mm-hmm.
But like, having to spend 2 actions to get rid of one of these seems like a disaster.
It's a grunt, yeah.
yeah.
And like, I don't know, this thing in cover seems just like unlikely to die.
Cover's mediocre when you're only def 1. Like it's
still incredible when you're def 1.
I don't know, how difficult do you think the Ultron drones are to kill, homie?
I think they're quite difficult to kill. They're def 2.
Yeah, and more health, and also a
health.
third health. Like,
I mean, they're pseudo the same health if it's physical, but yeah.
and like, nobody has lost their minds about the Ultron grunts being too hard to remove off the table. Like, some of that is obviously Ultron killing them himself, but like, we have seen grunts with a similar durability to this, and it's fine.
Yeah, I guess I'm still just like balking at there being 2 of them, and man, I am gonna try to play some freaking Stark Armory with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, his
Yeah, that seems good.
his ceiling turns are obviously insane, right? Like, if you get a turn where you get to activate both grunts and they both make 2 attacks, that's going to feel insane. And it also means your opponent has fucked up very badly.
Yeah, that's for sure. And also the whole package is pretty slow, especially if you start killing the grunts. It really limits his mobility a lot. So, but I think I don't know. People should definitely be trying to splash him. I don't know if it's actually going to work out, but like people should test it for sure. And he's probably going to be another super annoying guy, kind of like Dynamo on things like E shapes, where he is just.
I do think people have not fully comprehended the difference in how slow these grunts are compared to all the grunts we've seen before. Because like every other,
They're
pretty
small
slow.
bases, right?
they're small base, short move, range 2.
Yeah, right.
It's as bad as it gets, right? That is OG
Yeah.
Crossbones punching things. So like, it's easy to dream of the turns where each grunt gets to make 2 attacks, but like, that seems difficult to pull off, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's true as well. And then they also can't range far from him, which I really like.
Yeah.
I like when the grunts are tied to the parent in some interesting way.
Yeah.
Like, I think at least the Ultron drones give Ultron power when they die, so they at least have some mechanical attachment. But like the Red Skull grunts, I think are the worst because they just like they just spawn at Red Skull is like their mechanic that interacts with him.
Yeah.
Do you think? So I'm going to ask this on the forum, but I think the answer is no. I can't play this guy in Shield and have 1 Nick Fury grunt and 1 Sand Construct grunt, right?
No.
No.
Why would you think
Because
that?
the card specifically says you can have 2 sand constructs.
constructs
It doesn't
is-
say you can have 2 grunts.
Yeah.
It's instead of the normal 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna ask it anyway, but I
There's
think
like
that,
no way they would interpret it that way. That's like an insane
I think-
use of English.
Yeah, it not directly referencing the grunts rule while altering the grunts rule. I think is the part that's weird, but
I think you're grasping at straws because you really want to live a dream that's not going to happen.
no. I mean, I'm just gonna play Iron Man and Spider Foes. Like, yeah, and I'm gonna live the dream over there. Like, Stark Armory is not a Shield thing.
It's true.
I mean, they should. My main thing is they should just like, in no world should they ever let Shield have access to more than 1 grunt.
Definitely agree with that. They should
These are-
have it.
Very different grunts.
Yes.
Like, you could put these on the middle point and they would just stand there uselessly. They're not gonna like make 2 attacks a turn like the fucking shield ones do all the time.
Oh, God, shield guards are so good.
But yeah,
Should we move on to Vulture?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about Vulture and how terrible he is.
He's Sam, but they flipped his card upside down and also took away his leadership and made him bad.
He's close to being okay. So
if he had a gun, I would be.
yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest. Okay, so it's a short detour. I've played 2 games with Iceman now. Iceman better than I thought. I think that this podcast and the people on it were too mean to Iceman, myself included, because the combination of hit and run plus airlift plus like hit and run beams are good. This is a thing we know. You know, Vince is the biggest defender of Crossbones 2 that I've ever met. We like hit and run and beams, and he has one of those. And then airlift added onto that package is a good ability, right? Like we like Sam Wilson on this podcast, and airlift is a cool thing that Sam can do that Iceman can also do. And being able to do that, you know, some of it with Iceman is that like he's in a faction that doesn't really have those things. Like we don't really have other beam characters, right? I mean, there's like Logan's beam, but that's a very different type of thing. So like easy access to that is something new. And he's also like really good at being a dude who just walks around on a D shape because like he can move beam, hit and run, move onto a point. And then anybody who chases him gets slowed, and then he could just leave the slow people behind, right? And it's like you trying to race Iceman around the board becomes pretty difficult for a lot of models, which is like a unique value thing we haven't seen before. And so, saying all of that, the combination of hit and run and abduct on Vulture is interesting to me, right? Being a medium-based medium move with those abilities could lead to some very cool stuff, especially because abduct doesn't have any kind of size restriction on it. And so
Sure doesn't.
there's a lot of things that you can place with
that's
that.
True. That's cool.
That aren't used to being placed around. But the biggest difference between these two and why I'm down on Vulture is he just really struggles to make power. Right? He just needed like a gainer gun or his builder to be range 3 or something else, because I think they think that scientific hubris would get him the power he needs to be able to do this stuff. But I just think that's not going to be, you know, he needs 4 power to have the good turn, and 1 5 die, even with hubris, is not going to get him there.
I actually kind of think abduct is a little bit of a trap, where it's like, it's a thing you only do when you're flush.
Yeah.
I think what you want to do with this character is you want to have 3 power. You want to walk to a point, you want to try to flip the point, and then you hit and run out. And if you spike the hit and run, like maybe you do an abduct to make that thing a million miles away. I also think it's just wild to compare this character to Sam at all. Like, he's much slower than the guy. Hit and run is so much worse than charge. He doesn't have a gun. He doesn't have guaranteed access to power the way that Sam does. Like, Sam can miss every attack and still be, like, kind of useful.
Man, I totally disagree with your characterization of abduct. I think the way that people are going to play him is he's going to walk onto a point and then walk again and move whatever's off the point no matter what, and not attack. Like, he's just going to have 2 power and just abduct, and that's his entire turn. And it's like, that doesn't do any damage, and it doesn't move people very far, but 2 is always enough to move people off of a secure. So, like he could do that to anyone. He could do that to Dormammu. Like, I think that's, like, why you would play him, is because even if he interacts with nobody, every other turn he can do that, right? So,
but yeah, that's not, like, really a play pattern as in a thing you get to do twice in a game, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess I just think that that's if doing that twice in the game is not enough, then you would not take him, because that is what I would expect him to do, basically. But
I also
I
think
don't know. I just like compare this to Webline and how much worse it is than that ability.
yeah, it's whatever. It's a different model, different package.
Yeah.
Because I also think that like if they do beat this guy up and he is pretty squishy, his spender's kind of baller for a 3 threat. Like,
It is
That's
very
true.
good for a 3 threat.
Yeah.
8 dice is a lot for only 4 power, and then just a guaranteed throw on top of that is pretty great.
and it's not away. Yeah, that's nice for sure.
And it throws medium. Like every number on that spender when I look at it is just higher than I expect it to be. So he does do a good job. Like if he's doing the play pattern bots mentioned and they decide to be like, this is annoying, I'm going to kill Vulture. Vulture's turn after he flips is pretty good. Like it's not hard for him to do some real obnoxious stuff that turn. Is that good enough to see play? I don't know. But I think that spender kind of, got undersold a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's so foes have kind of this gimmick or this like part of their color pie or like their faction design is that they all have really cool stuff and really powerful stuff to do with their power. There's like one exception to that. And but they all kind of struggle to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Vulture fits that mold, as does Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see how he goes. I do kind of suspect. So the model looks like ass, like at first blush. But I am kind of curious to see if there's something out here, because Abduct seems strong. Like having action compression is never bad. The spender is good.
Yep.
The thing on his base is like a little viewfinder. I thought it was like a baboon's face.
No, it's like
Oh,
the thing
yeah.
on the skyscraper.
I was trying to figure out if there was lore about why he had beheaded a baboon.
It'd be great if you just had a baboon friend that followed him around.
That would rock. That should be reflected in the rules, however. I would say
No, it's
that
on the
would be a
back side of
design
his
fail.
card.
The baboon comes to save him on the backside. Speaking of models that change on the backside, which we've got confirmation about but don't know how, Shang-Chi is the other model that, to me, in addition to Sandman, that they've spoiled, like that they've actually spoiled a card for, that looks really good.
Yeah.
He seems really strong to me.
Shang-Chi to me looks like far and away the best model that we saw card-wise.
Yeah, I think I probably agree with you.
His offensive output is kind of nuts. And then the defensive thing, when Dragon chases its tail, is also kind of crazy.
Yep.
The guy does seem somewhat soft.
Depends who's attacking him.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who's attacking him and from where. But, like, he is a 5 hit point, 4 threat, which I don't... Again, we don't know. He might change them. He might have 7 on the back, and then we're like, I don't have anything to say.
I mean, that's part of why it's hard to talk about these models, especially durability-wise, is that, like, if he's 5'5" versus 5'4", versus 5'6", or 5'7", wildly different durability, right? Like, the amount of health. Same thing with Vulture, right? Like, if Vulture is a 5'6", I think that meaningfully changes the conversation about exactly how squishy he is versus just being a 5'5". So, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But damn, Shang-Chi, he's got a 6-die builder that can be Mystic on like a 4 threat, and then he does all sorts of wizard shit off of it when he does it.
There's 2 symbol stagger.
Yeah.
There's crit shield stagger, which is like 15% to trigger, but like still like it's on a builder. Like who cares?
Yeah, it's a free roll every time.
When I hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's in a faction that has rerolls.
And he could if he hits the stagger, he can hit the stagger and then push the guy away short if they're size 3 or less, or advance away. So they're staggered and they're far away from stuff. That's wild.
Right. Oh, so 5 Elements Fist is like such an absurd superpower.
It's so cool.
Like its timing is the best timing can get. You don't have to have the power when you make the attack.
Yeah.
He also has like nothing else to spend his power on.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to target the target of the attack either. Like the push part of it can just be somebody else who happens to be within 2 of him.
Yeah, and then I'm just assuming here, and maybe my brain's just fried. You can't pay for 5 Elements Fist twice on a single attack. Right?
No, it's a reactive. You can only pay for it once per triggering event.
Okay. Cool. Just like it having 2 separate names with triggers is the thing that like threw me.
Those names don't mean anything rules-wise.
Yeah. Well, I just that they were named separately and formatted like triggers or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about Shang-Chi's design is he's very different than we've seen a lot of other models because, like, his average turn is better than most models' average turns, right? Like, he can make...
Definitely.
If he can charge and do 2 6s and maybe stagger a person or maybe push a thing and then back up, right? Like, he can move, punch, move pretty easily most turns of the game. But where he doesn't compare to other models is that his average turn is also very close to his ceiling. Like, this dude on 10 power versus this dude on, like, 4. Identical model. Like, I know we say that a lot, but with him, he's actually just identical in a way that is not true of, like, any other model. And I think that's cool design, right? To have his averages be pretty high, but also that's kind of all he does.
So, and because of that, I think the model he's actually most similar to in that way is X-23.
Sure.
Like, that's the thing that quote-unquote keeps X-23 okay, is that, like, X-23 on 4 power and X-23 on 2 power is, like, or X-23 on 10 power and X-23 on 4 power are, like, the same model.
I like you have to sneak in the quote-unquote in there just so everybody knows that you still hate X-23, even though no one else complains about that model but you anymore.
No, I just don't think it's, like, a good balancing mechanic.
Yeah, because it beats your faction.
I think as a design, it can be interesting.
Well, don't we? I mean, didn't they say in the panel that he's going to be different on the backside anyway?
Yeah,
like when he's
which
flipped,
makes him so hard to talk about.
Yes.
Like maybe his backside is like all like
10
free power
kill a
generation
guy.
to start.
Yeah,
Be a good spender.
yeah,
and no builder or something like that.
Yeah, or just like a gainer or something.
yeah. What talk about next?
Let's talk about Scarlet Spider, the most boring character that I think is fine.
Yeah,
It's just like a bunch of spider powers slapped together.
Yeah, well, that's what you get when you play Web Warriors. You get like the same 10 or 12 rules in random combinations on each model.
Yeah, I mean, I like Web Whip is really cool, right? He's the only spider that has buyable mobility, web line, and a throw.
Web line and a throw.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because you're saying Web Whip is both viable mobility and web line?
Yeah.
I see. Yes. Yeah.
And like every other spider has to make a choice of what of those three things they want. Now his mobility and web line is like worse than everyone else's mobility or web. Like, you know what I mean? Miles can just pay 2 in place, right? The other ones with mobility can just do it. But he's the only one with all 3 of those things, which is at least mildly interesting. I agree he's boring, right? And I agree I don't think I would play him over a more specialized for like a Spider-Woman or an Agent Venom, because I think that's what I would want if I was playing Web Warriors, have my 4s be more specialized and the 3s be generalists. But I just think that is an important distinction between him and all of his other friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the character's good. I think just like, my God, the competition in this faction, and I don't expect him to be anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think you're really going to feel that range 2 builder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess he has impact webbing, which is fine.
Yep.
Oh, the other thing that's really goofy is because Web Whip requires an enemy character, he's going to like sometimes find himself kind of like in a desert of mobility, which is when you sometimes need mobility the most.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's kind of like, it's very similar to like the Hela mobility.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of damage, you get the place of the enemy character.
Yeah, I mean, that's the trade-off to having all 3 of these, right? Is that his version of ability is the worst, but like him with a bunch of power can do some kind of crazy stuff that, like, I think this is not a world you'd ever live in, but like I think he's way better designed than like 4-threat Peter Parker is, right? I think he's more exciting and more dynamic than 4-threat Peter Parker is, and would rather play him basically all the time, but that's not really a choice you're making very often.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, everybody's complained about 4-threat since he started. I still think he's better than he gets credit for. He's 100% crowded out right now.
I think this only makes it worse.
Yeah, and I think this crowds him out of affiliation battle now.
Yeah, good. Fuck Peter Parker. He's lame.
Yeah, well, I mean, the newest Peter Parker is really, really good, so.
Yeah, but like Peter is the least interesting character with spider powers.
Yes, I think you're right. Okay, moving on. I mean, he seems good. Like, it's interesting that he has the old version of whatever a spider can.
Does he?
Yeah, it costs 1 more power.
Oh, yeah.
So it means this card was probably designed before Peter Parker's
Yeah, or they decided
update?
on a 4 threat that the spender had to cost a little more than compared to a 5 threat.
Yeah, I'm curious whether those go, like which one, but I kind of suspect it's the first
Sure,
one.
yeah.
But also, it was definitely tested this way, and it's fine.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like it's the fact that it's definitely meant to like call back to the other superpower. And I like the spender a lot more on a character that can spend his power to displace in other ways,
Yes.
and then has, if he gets flooded, has really good output. Okay, moving on.
Last one, Mr. Panther.
Yeah. And,
Oh, yeah.
Did they say he was in Shield?
Heavily implied based on the box.
Okay.
Yeah. They seem to imply that he was in Shield, Defenders, and Wakanda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mystic attacks in Shield, a thing we just don't have
Yeah. Range 2 though, not very Shield.
until the mummy comes out, at least.
Until the moment. Exactly. When the whole faction changes. I don't really get this guy. He seems okay. I mean, like him being
strange
more
design.
more consistent at flipping or at interacting with objective tokens is funny because it hasn't existed before. But
Heimdall has it, but yeah.
what'd you say?
Heimdall has a version of this, right?
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't remember that. But.
Yeah, Heimdall's pay 2 to reroll 2 works on crisis rolls.
Right. Okay. But I don't know. This guy doesn't seem very good to me. Although, I mean, having Pounce on a 3 threat is pretty cool. That's for sure. But like, what else is he for? I don't understand.
I think he like murders spiders. I think he's like. I think playing like him and Agent Venom in Shield is like get wrecked, because he has symbiote instincts. Oh no, it's he has defensive. Sorry,
Yeah, his is
defensive only.
Yeah, he has Mystic.
Reading's hard.
So it's kind of like symbiote.
He is Mystic, yeah.
But, yeah.
So he ignores a bunch of that too. I don't know. Like the character's like kind of evasive. Cannot modify. We've seen be like kind of good. Like freaking Medusa's tankier than everybody thinks she is.
Is this the first character who has an attack with a trigger in the attack that is named the same as the attack and that causes them to attack with a different attack?
I hope so.
His attack is called
pretty
Finisher.
fucked up.
Its trigger is called Finisher.
Yeah, the attack is called Finisher. The trigger is called Finisher. The trigger finisher in the attack finisher gives him another attack, which is not Finisher.
I believe that is true. Yes, it is. Man, what? I
It
know
looks like a placeholder that didn't get moved.
for years, like since the start of this game, we've complained about AMG needing to buy a thesaurus, right? Like they have tactics cards that have the same names as superpowers and reuse stuff all the time. But like, I don't think anything made this is a tangent. I don't think anything's made me madder
Oh, I know what you're going to
than when somebody sent me a question about squad goals, wondering if it was a timeline event, because the rules package says it is a challenger event using the standard timeline. And if you look in the challenger packet, there's a section about timelines where you pick a timeline to determine which cards are rotated in or out, which we currently have the standard timeline and the extended timeline, which is different from a timeline event, which is the big thing they played at Adepticon, where you bring 3 lists and 30 miles and blah, blah, blah. Why the fuck are they both called timeline? Why would you do this to your fucking TOs and make me
I
feed
don't
these
fucking know.
questions? It's like, as soon as I saw it, I'm just like, how do I write an answer to this question in a way that's not going to make me seem like I'm a lawyer, right? Like I just want something quick and easy to understand while also being correct. It's a fucking nightmare. Get your shit together.
A lot of I think some of this problem comes from announcing that timelines was going to be a thing before they knew what timelines was going to be. And then they were like, it's the name of the rotation. Nope, it's a format.
Just go rename the rotation. Nobody would give a shit, and it would help out your TOs.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that name, well, I guess I'm not going to go there. But I feel like, if anything, they would be more likely to do the opposite. Of, like, keep the Timelines brand associated with the Goofy tournament format and call the other thing something else.
Yeah, that's what I want them to do.
Okay.
That's what he wants.
Yeah, change the name of card rotation to anything. Multiverses. Fucking...
Oh, baby, it's line time.
Back to Black Panther. I think the one thing about him is that so it's interesting to have stealth, so you can play you can now play a ton of stealth characters in Shield, and he can kind of do a lot of damage if he has a lot of power.
He does a lot of damage,
especially if he has rerolls backed up.
Yeah.
Like being able to go open with finisher, hit the trigger
finisher,
and attack.
yeah.
So do a 7-die attack, then a 5-die attack, reroll all, maybe get the power for another finisher, and then do another 5, and then maybe hit the trigger and do another 5-die reroll, and then maybe a pounce. Like that is a ton of damage for a 3 in a faction that has a rerolls gimmick. Both in
All three of his factions have reroll gimmicks.
Yeah.
Wait, he can't have. Oh, well, he could have Shuri rerolls, but he can't have Black Panther rerolls.
No, but he can have
But he
Shuri
can have
rerolls, and the M'Baku leadership makes the finisher trigger on finisher easier to hit.
Right.
Yeah, it
So
can
he
become
can
hit
finish more often.
instead of hit wild.
What? No, it's just why M'Baku's turn any dice into a wild or into a hit. You roll a wild, any dice becomes a hit.
Oh,
Although it has to not be,
is
anything other than a wild and a bunch of skulls,
Yes.
right? But
you're right.
yeah,
Sorry, I got confused with the MODOK leadership.
Yes, so
Yeah, he
so
seems
all
good
of his
under
homes
M'Baku.
make his damage easier to get to, and yeah, he's like, I mean, it requires a lot of power and a lot of dice, but he's up there with Valkyrie as far as 3 threats who can just fucking murder you.
Well, the Valkyrie actually generates 2 power though,
That's true.
so she generates what 60? I mean, because her charge is 3 now, right?
No, the throw
Or
went
is
to
it-
3. The charge stayed
Oh,
at
the
2.
throw went to 3. Right. So she generates her charge every turn. This guy does not.
Yeah, I mean, I like Valkyrie more than this guy, but it's like his upper bounds being close to 4 7-die attacks and a pounce is a lot for a 3 threat.
And then also you could
Yeah.
do that. Like the dream is to do that on Stark Armor return,
Mm-hmm.
and have another character that makes 4 attacks on Stark Armor return.
That's such a. I mean, yeah, maybe that'll happen. That's such a crazy definition of makes 4 attacks, but
He rolls attack dice 4
Yeah, well-
times.
The other thing is that because of the finisher trigger,
finisher, yeah.
you could be you could conceivably open your turn with like having just been dazed, have 6 power, which is I don't think
Yeah.
ridiculous to have.
True.
Open with a finisher, build back up to 4 power, hit the trigger again, build 2, then get the bounce.
Yeah, it kind of like self-fuels itself a little bit rather than requiring to have all the power up front. Because, 5 dice reroll all is a really good builder to make some power off of. Like, when he hits that trigger, the follow-up
Yeah.
attack is a really good way to put more power back onto him.
yeah, that's true. Okay, you've convinced me. He's broken.
I mean, he's fine. I agree. The concerns about his durability are true. He's pretty squishy.
Yeah, he's
He has
made
weird
a-
tech. This plan we're talking about requires him to start within range 2 of someone, which is not trivial, right?
Yeah.
But I think when people are like, "What's the point of this guy?" The point is that some of the he'll have 1 or 2 turns a game where he just does a lot of damage.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I think is kind of interesting about this guy and the card they released for Shield is that a lot of people have been trying to make it happen, and so I think that there might be an objectives focused build of Shield. So the new leadership is we finally have a leadership that plays into it that might be able to go on a model that wants to play objectives. Because the Iron Man leadership can play objectives, but Iron Man doesn't want to play objectives. Iron Man wants to stay in one spot and build her twice and hand rerolls out.
Yeah.
So while I think that new leadership, it really sucks that it costs a card, if Namor is busted and objective focused, playing a bunch of stealth idiots that are good at objectives might actually be a thing that Shield does. And one of our 2 steals is Human Torch, whose problem is he's not durable. Maybe a single reroll will change that.
Aren't you excited to have fucking shield agents that just have spider senses?
I mean, that is kind of funny. I have more rerolls than defense
They'll be
dice.
def 2 reroll 2. Yeah.
The skull unlock is probably the bigger deal.
That's a pretty big deal for your shield agents. yeah.
not going to take my rerolls. I'm just going to use the skull unlock because they're going to be within 2 of someone probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to pick it up and claim my cover. Thank you.
Yeah. Always having cover when you have it. You know what I mean? Not having to roll for cover is pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting, and I would love for my faction to be a little bit more well-rounded and play something like Black Panther. Hopefully, Namor's good. Like New Widow, Spider-Woman.
What about Steve Rogers,
like
Captain
Steel
America,
Objectives
Steve
or-
Rogers?
Man, the character's just so squishy, and
I mean,
like also like doesn't want to hold objectives because of the thing that makes him like good at doing some of his job is on your left, and like on your left turning off when you pick up an objective sucks super hard.
yeah, but now when you pay 3 to reroll all your attack dice, you can reroll skulls, which makes paying 3 for that effect feel a lot better.
If I'm near a friend, and hopefully, and I'll have to be because I'll need somebody with bodyguard to keep me alive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just wish that model was like more durable. And then we
Yeah, I
could talk
mean,
about...
he's got problems, and I don't think this leadership like fixed them. But it's interesting. Like, it's not bad for him. It makes him more durable. You were just complaining about him not being durable enough.
I'm just not wild about one of the most fragile 4s in the game holding my leadership and it costing me a tactics card in the tactics card faction.
It's fine. You're fine.
Yep. I mean, I hope like the other playstyle, and it'd be cool if like it's good enough that it could fit inside of an existing shell, because I kind of have like 2 very cuttable models in my roster. Right, and it could maybe go as high as 3 depending on the plan, because like playing Sam Cap right now, he's extremely corner case. He's like only on 2 threats and only on specific scenarios. And then Bucky, I only play if Hammers is on the table. And then Hawkeye is mostly a tech piece for Chase, but if we got another tech piece with Chase, or if we were playing the scenario game better than the teams we have to chase.
I can't believe we let Vince trick us into just talking about his roster again.
Yeah. Why do they keep adding models to Shield? It's
I don't
it's
know,
lame.
man. I was dead set before the core box was announced that I was like, I came out of the LVO that I won being like, oh, cool, we're getting one more Shield box with Spider-Woman and Agent Venom, and that's going to be it for a long time. I was fully prepared to be Wakanda'd. Just be like, get our initial splash release, nothing else.
Yep.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
Who would buy more dudes with guns? But then they just like kept going.
Yep.
For so long.
Yeah, I mean, like if we're right about like half of the monsters, three out of the 5 monsters going to Shield, then it's going to be like comparably large to the really big factions.
I mean, Shield would end up with the same amount of releases this year as X-Men. I guess no, because there's more X-Men coming, so never mind. But it's still a lot. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. Fantastic. Love it. You love to see it.
All right. I think that's it
Yes.
for the
Yeah,
podcast. Goodbye.
Okay. So
Listeners.
with that, we've been a size 3 taco truck.
He like